What's up, dog? So I found out this morning, my sister actually rescheduled a memorial for her life partner around Brian Buchanan's eye appointment in Quincy. Just, oh, that's right. I got to take the trash out. That's what's that? June, July, August, September. 4 or 5 months of rescheduling everything around Brian Buchanan. So, apparently he says he's not going to go to the eye appointment now. So he has to go tomorrow to get his drugs. So I explained that I'm sure Man Health will give him another one of those hot spots. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's just we're all kind of like spent here. There's other things going on. There's been a lot of stress just continuously since April. So it's a lot. That's a lot of sort of catering and stuff, but it did keep a person sober for over 60 days, as opposed to everything he's been doing for 10 years, 11 years now, even a halfway house. So would things have gone differently with housing? I'm sure, but it's just a dead issue. I myself have completely given up on trying in terms of changing anything or even considering that I'm going to be allowed to have any type of a life. It doesn't change my thoughts and opinions about that. Nothing that has happened in Brian and I's relationship would have gone like this had we had housing and incomes. So, right, when you're in a certain situation, you can't even do crisis management in terms of what is supposed to be the plan in terms of right. That's way too much stress for a person with mental illness or someone in early recovery or someone with a medical condition and PTSD. It's way too much stress. Not it's something about even us. Clearly, you have a wicked severe problem with your mental health system. Everyone knows that. And then it seems obvious to me that it's constructed that way. And it seems even the police and the cops are just spent out as to what to do about it. They will not stop giving all these drugs to people. And like I said, most people that I talk to feel they're doing it on purpose. I'm sure Brian doesn't think that. So it's become sort of too difficult for me in terms of his thoughts and ideas about things. If you think that a woman is insane and mentally ill and dragging you down and drag down her ex-husband, and her family thinks she's crazy too, I guess you're being forced into making plans and then breaking them on purpose because you just do an urge of something you want. It doesn't mean anything in an adult marriage when you have a conversation in a calm manner, like regular conversation, and you agree to something and then you decide to do something on your own. People that are in relationships don't do that. You have to have some kind of a communication skills and not you just do things on your own like that. So that's a person who isn't actually in his mind is not in a relationship. He's just never going to be doing that with me, from what I can see. He feels he's being manipulated all the time, no matter how better his life is when he's with me. So text this morning about being miserable and missing me. Right. Were you wrong in anything that you did? Were you wrong in anything that you did? Can you see the repercussions of what you've done? Is that still something I've done? Does it have anything to do with wrestling? Is a good question. Like, does it really have anything to do with wrestling, Brian Buchanan? Okay. Did we have a conversation about the amount of marijuana that you're using? Did you agree that if you used all that marijuana before 4 weeks, you were never going to do that again? Okay. The day that you told me you were out of marijuana or you were about to be out of marijuana, did you ask me to ask my sister for a ride to the dispensary? Did I ask her to give you a ride to the dispensary? Did she say yes? Was she taking a nap and the day wasn't even over yet? Did we have a discussion? Okay, because she's busy. And I mean, some of this gets to the point of ridiculous. She just went there the other day, but he didn't think to ask me then. Probably because he knew that it was bad. He waited till he was completely out of it, apparently, or had one hit left or something. Um, did we have a conversation because he himself started looking up directions since it's only 3 miles away? Did we have a conversation about walking there? And you said, I was just thinking that. I was just Googling. Okay. And then did we decide because it was getting later and I hadn't eaten anything all day that we would walk there the next day, Wednesday? And that was our agreement. Okay. And then as soon as she came out of the bedroom, you asked her because she told you she was going to the store to get water. So she was already doing something else and it was past 8 o'clock. She got out of bed to do it, to get water for us to drink coffee. She isn't even hardly drinking any coffee. It's because we've been drinking so much of it. Okay. And by we, I'm thinking you, because I have been drinking coffee, but I was drinking that international stuff. I wasn't drinking the pods. I have a certain limit on how much the pods, but we don't have to get in an argument about that. So that's another thing that she's doing for us. Okay. And then you, right in front of me, and you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. That's my sister. You're a guest here. There's things about you that she doesn't know. Okay. Because had she known that, she would have told you no. So there's things about you she doesn't know that she's learning now. So, and then she said yes when she got back. And then what time is it open? When you weren't even supposed to be doing that. So you're not understanding things that are sort of like, I didn't even get mad at that, even though within me I am mad because it's been going on. Okay, so after your behavior with me, it became apparent you couldn't stay here. Okay, so I don't like, there should have been a discussion earlier about, and I explained it. This is Wednesday. Tuesday night this happens, and he knows I'm already planning on leaving today. He knows I'm already planning on leaving on Thursday, which is today because of the doctor's appointments, and we knew we had to leave because of the housing authority. Okay. So I don't know. I think it's kind of paranoid if you think he did it purposely beforehand, but it's possible. But I wasn't thinking that. I wasn't thinking that. Like he did it beforehand in order to get away from me. Right. So because clearly he can't use in a certain manner when he's with me. He just can't. He knows he can't do it. He tells me to hold his money. He didn't even want to hold his EBT card. Okay, so stuff like it's the same like juvenile manipulations about if he has to panhandle for food, he's going to drink. He said the same stuff after Gavin. Okay, just like if he doesn't take Adderall, he's going to drink. If he doesn't smoke pot, he's going to drink. It's the same manipulations. So, right, you just go, okay, this is the deal. Are you a drug addict that's using me for money, or you're mentally ill and you had an episode that has to be addressed? He goes, one, I have my own money, and two, I'm angry and depressed. I'm not dangerous. Okay. Are you telling anyone when you go into a hospital about these episodes? When you go to court, are you telling the court about it, or you're saying that you were drunk or you stole to get booze and you got scared or angry or something? Like, what are you saying to people? When you're talking to Jane, what are you telling her? When you're talking to the people that prescribe your medication, what are you telling them? Because I'm sure the court and the police want to know. Okay. There's got to be a way that you can admit yourself to a hospital, even if you're that depressed. Like you're that depressed that you can't function, right? I think the danger yourself and others, Brian, is people that won't do that. I admitted myself to a hospital twice for bulimia when I was a teenager. So there's got to be like a criteria for quote unquote. It's not really, I don't like the word sectioning because I don't think a person per se needs a long term. Some of these people, yeah, they they want to just lock you up. I really am not for that. And now the time is dragging on and on and on. It's 3 days. It's 3 days if they even let you in. And if you sign the voluntary, it's a week. So all of the excuses, it's all the same shit, like just like Plymouth in 2023 court. It's all that's why you're in court. That's why you're in court. That's what your charges are. You spit in an EMT's face when she came to help you. And then the other one is what? Stealing something and then yelling or something at the person. It's like assault. That's why you're in court. And if you keep saying you're confused about why you're in court, again, what's going on with your mental health treatment? Why do you decide how often you have therapy and it's only once a month? What's going on with your medications? Because they're clearly not working. Why are you on so many? Why are you being prescribed a medication that's a known addictive drug that people over medicate? They sell it to other people. It makes them angry and enraged like that. If you're already depressed and angry, why are you being given a drug that makes people angry and psychotic? Seriously, I have no idea why this person is given an Adderall. Someone realized he shouldn't have been given gabapentin and they shut it off. He told me that at Gavin, he was being given gabapentin, and he doesn't even need it. So the next thing is, why is he on Adderall? Of course, when you tell me stuff, I'm going to tell people. I mean, that is not calling the cops. Of course, I told my therapist, and you don't have a choice but to go to your appointment tomorrow because you won't get any more drugs. They'll shut it right off. You'll get nothing, and then you'll do what? You're not going to another detox. You're going to a hospital for a psych eval to get psychiatric medication. This is bullshit. He goes into a detox and they send him his medication. They don't even have a psychiatrist at Gavin. Enough is enough. Do they not have an actual psychiatrist at Manit? Again, these people that I've called, you're on Mass Health Well Sense, taking available patients. What's wrong with you? And then as soon as I say something about he should go to a hospital from Mansfield because it's a whole different thing, it gets him out of that system. They may not be treating people in the suburbs like they're doing in Quincy. And lo and behold, he takes the train into Boston. You just go, it's a world wide web. I mean, it could be a coincidence. Right. You just go, and now you're back in Braintree. That's why you didn't want to meet up with me yesterday because you're clearly already drinking, not you might be drinking. Why would you be in Braintree? I don't even want to hear anything about you didn't know where else to go. I offered to meet up with you yesterday. So at this point, I'm not angry. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. First of all, you have to be wrong about something at some given time, given what your life is. Not it's everything is me. This was your life, Brian Buchanan, long before you ever met me. Seriously, like clearly your life is better when you're with me. And it's probably terrible for you because I don't know if you just don't have romantic feelings for me. Right. You just go, I told you when you were in Gavin, even my therapist knows that I would still provide that type of care in terms of you. And you didn't have to marry me, or you could marry me and not have sexual contact with me. I told you that. Like you're the one who's insisting getting married and stuff, not Mary. Enough of the bullshit. You didn't marry me so that I'd have the ability to have some say in your medical care? Is that what you're actually saying now? You're going to keep saying, don't call an ambulance. I'm going to refuse it. And I'm a public annoyance. I'm a public annoyance. Am I sleeping in train stations? Am I panhandling money? Am I stealing from stores? Am I spitting in the face of EMT workers? I'm a public annoyance? I don't think so, buddy. You're never going to get well if you don't walk. You're saying you don't believe in God, and I don't believe in this AA shit, but he liked to go. We tried to go. Uh, you're never going to get well if you don't walk around. Absolutely not, because you don't do any physical fitness at all, and your diet is terrible. So, I mean, we started a walk program, and yes, there was a problem because of saying we had to leave. That's not an excuse for canceling your walking program until today when we were going to leave here. That there's no excuse for that. To some degree, you have to try to adjust to your life. I mean, I don't know how much is this is some person who's used to being catered to and stuff. That's why I don't like all this business about he's a drug addict and a drunk. It's like, I think he's mentally ill. You have to think in your head. You go, I told you about his background and his childhood and everything. You just go, there's a lot of people that drink, they don't end up like Brian Buchanan. Yeah, like because apparently someone wants to prove that these people are throwaways because you won't stop separating the two of us. You will not stop doing it. I don't know if you're trying to prove something to yourself about people that you've allowed to just die in the street like that, or you've locked up at what do they call it? Bridgewater State. Right. It's like that's clearly not true. It's just like refusing to stop funding a shelter of psychopaths and denying money or funds or the ability for other people to help them. You're like completely deranged. That's me being insane, and then I go on social media and talk about it. Yeah, that's what I do because what else am I going to do, Brian Buchanan? Sleep in the Braintree stairwell with two females drinking and getting high? No, I'm not doing that. That's not going to become my life so that I'm not insane and normal. To some degree, I myself understand venting. And then all it is I'm asking you specific chunks of what you said. The other stuff doesn't affect me. I'm asking you specific chunks about what you said. When you start going into stuff about my ex-husband, stuff about my sister, you're approaching saying stuff about my children. Like you need to think when you get angry because you're crossing a line. And some people suggest, how is that even in your head to be doing that? Like, how is that even in your head to be doing it? Because I've been really angry. Jen's been really angry. And Jen has never brought up my children or Elle. And she's gotten mightily pissed at me and she has mental illness. So why is that even in your head? You think that I tore down my ex-husband? You don't know anything about me because you don't listen to me, you don't listen to other people, or you're angry because other people compliment me and stuff. Like you don't know anything about me, dude. It's almost like Al Gore himself would go, "What?" He couldn't even pay rent because I had to take over the finances. He wanted me to do it. He would have never owned a home. He's terrible with money. He also was quote unquote forced to stop smoking cigarettes, somewhat be on a healthier diet. That was an issue when he started dating his girlfriend and now his wife, apparently, because she smokes and drinks and doesn't care about his diet. And his father had a triple bypass at 35, and the guy has sky high blood pressure. He shouldn't be smoking. Right. You go, oh, this isn't good. Your wife is controlling your smoking because the guy would have a stroke. Right, you go, how much life insurance do you have, Alfred, that she doesn't care that you're drinking whole milk? And those your children share your genetics for fuck's sake. Those are my fucking children. So yeah, there was no whole milk in my house. Oh my God. And the dude wasn't supposed to smoke cigarettes. Like for fuck's sake, some people are so fucked up they do that. Oh God, what is she one of those? You can't smoke pot and you can't drink. He just smoked. I don't even know how many grams it is. It's many grams. It's like an eighth of an ounce or something. It's being explained to me what he just smoked in like 10 days. Right? You just go. How are you not just going? He's got to be taking a million Adderall, right? How after smoking that much marijuana? How is he not just like vegged out? I know what marijuana does to people. She's eating a gummy for pain. It's legal, by the way. And she's sleep knocked out in a bed. She can't even take a whole one. So something is definitely wrong. I don't know if what is going on with that marijuana. Are they selling something that's not pot at that dispensary? Because she doesn't smoke it, she uses gummies. Maybe there's going to have to be an investigation or something, because you go, what is going on that a person is acting like that, smoking that much marijuana? He seems like he's in like a meth or a cocaine psychosis or something. Because Candy was questioning that too. She's like, is it possible that he was drinking somehow and we didn't know it? I mean, I don't see how he was doing that, but we don't know what's in those bottles of pills either. So I don't know if there's someone around here that all you do is go around a corner and take a hit of meth or something. Right. You just go, what the hell just happened? But I told her he has other incidences. That's why I think he's mentally ill. Right. Because after Gavin, he wasn't even on pot. He was supposedly just taking his medication, and he was getting all that shaky like this and wicked snippy mean because he wanted to smoke pot. And then he completely he flipped out once, went to the fountains, and then came back. And then the next time he flipped out, he didn't come back. He was gone for 4 days, and he kept coming back to the library in the same clothes because some dude from Foxborough decided that he shouldn't be controlled by me, because that guy's never going to get a wife. Okay. Brian is like stupid in the shit he does. The guy is disgusting. So he decided that to get Brian and him to go drink it. Oh, yeah. And then that guy started harassing me and stuff if Brian forgot how that happened. Maybe he doesn't care. When it's explained to him over and over again, you go, that dude totally was trying to get a relationship with me. That's why he helped you get drunk and destroy our relationship and your sobriety. You just go, oh my God, dude. Anyway, I've obviously been crying a lot. I did eat and sleep last night though. I just had to buy American Spirit cigarettes, 15.35. You just go 15.35. That's a bag of tobacco and tubes. She has other shit to do. She can't drive me to get more shit. I know I didn't even know that. She told me today that she rescheduled this thing earlier so that she could take Brian to his eye appointment at 4:30. You just go, oh my God, dude. Well, this is the thing too. I mean, it's possible that he just figured that was it, but he sent one text afterwards. Where's my phone? But some of his behavior is not normal to me. So it makes it worse because you go, okay, dude, you completely just flipped out and like lost your shit, dude. Stop telling people it's about wrestling. Completely stop saying that. If he forgot what happened because he was so mad or he was in a psychosis, that's the problem when you won't accept you're mentally ill. If you are forgetting things you say, or you don't understand that's normal when you're just flipping out like that, unprompted. I don't know if he thinks that I do that because something happens to me, Brian, and I'm pissed and I go on a computer. Like, if I'm talking in real life, I calm way down. If I'm actually texting another person, it stays calmer. So he was like, it makes him worse, apparently. And when we're talking, he won't let me speak. He just keeps yelling. And he repeatedly says he didn't say something or I said something, and you get confused. So you don't even know what to do because you don't have it written. Like he has to take a pause and actually listen to me when I talk, whether he likes what I'm saying or not. And then I take a pause and he talks so that I can hear what he's saying. Not just you. Every time I have tried to have a conversation with Brian, probably since we got here, because he doesn't really understand my point of view. He was using heavily when we met. He kept making excuses to take off. Okay. He takes off from a hospital and doesn't contact me. He supposedly went into, this is what he told me. He was all screwed up and having hallucinations. That's like bipolar. You're either like that schizophrenia or bipolar. You're not getting the medication for that. You're not being medicated for that. And you don't understand your mental illness because you're still right about everything. It's an acceptance that you do weird shit when you're in an episode that isn't right. Obviously, there's people in your life, Brian, that accept you. I'm one of those. But you have to be diagnosed with something that makes any sense, and you have to accept that diagnosis. And you have to be willing to get in an ambulance when I tell you you need to go into one. When I tell you you need to go to a hospital and you won't call, and I ask you about calling an ambulance and you still won't do it, you're not agreeing to our agreement in our mind, in my mind, and maybe that should have been discussed more for our understanding and written down. Okay? I never agreed to be abused. Okay? And for the record, you weren't doing that. You weren't doing what you did Tuesday night before any other time that I've known you, but certainly not before we got married. Okay. You've got to remember that you were not in the shelter very long before the wedding. Okay. And you like flipped out until you were allowed to use another drug, I call it a street drug. Alcohol's legal too. And it's not like other people that use marijuana. He needs to understand that, and everyone else, because when we're talking and then people go, oh, she's just whatever. No, because you don't know what he's doing. You don't know anything about Brian Buchanan. So even people here that have observed him could tell you that. You don't know anything about his consumption and how he's behaving. If you smoked that much marijuana, would you be acting like that? Okay, then you need to shut your mouth. Okay, do you know that when he drinks, he can't stop drinking? Okay, then you need to shut your mouth about drinking too. Do you know that when he gets Adderall, he over medicates himself? Okay, then you need to shut your mouth if you didn't know that. Do you know that he actually over medicates other medication that he's prescribed, because he's admitted all of this to me since we've been here? So if you don't know he does that, then you need to shut your mouth. In terms of, why do you keep telling him to go to the hospital, Mary? Because there's things you don't know about Brian Buchanan. That's why. Okay? It was amazeballs to me during the 4 days that the library didn't call an ambulance on him. He was literally screaming at me and saying he was going to punch me in the face at the library. And he I don't know what was going on, if something went on and he thought that someone told him I went down to the police to talk to the police. Not about you doing that. It was about the sexual assault in Plymouth. Because by that time, the things that you were saying to me, it seemed like you used me for money, just like I thought. And that you evaded telling me you were alive, and so did all your friends. And I was on a live stream crying, drinking, smoking cigarettes, and you knew about it. You told me that. So that was the thought that I had at that time. Not all the excuses you told me when I saw you again in May of 2024. That's not what you told me. You told me that you were afraid of me because you took off from Faulkner Hospital. Is it possible that you also knew that you were mentally ill and you were like afraid to tell me about your mental illness? Is that possible? Just, and not you, because if you weren't doing that to evade going to jail or a 90-day, why'd you do it? I was going to kill you. I'm not dangerous. Right. So, right. Like, did you fly into a rage about, like, you've done twice now? And then get concerned that you were going to hurt me? Because at the library, you said you had to walk away from me because you were going to punch me in the face. When you took off because you wanted to get high and drink. Right. Like, there's a definite problem where he won't stop blaming me for what he's doing. Okay. But yet he still want to meet with me today at Man at Health. So there has to be something that makes sense. Right. I know all about toxics and what do you call it? Domestic abuse, because that's what I'm trying to find out. Why do you refuse to give this man an intake in a psych eval? Like you want to just go, it's domestic violence and put him in jail or something. I don't, the court and the police don't want to do that. That's why they didn't do that. Right. I'd have nothing to report to any police about anything about Brian Buchanan. They already called me and asked me. I have nothing to report to any police about Brian Buchanan. This is about his mental health team at Manad Health and whatever's going on in the state of Massachusetts, where you have doctors refusing to take Mass Health. Then they should have their license pulled. So that could be going on, and then people are getting mad because there's no doctors. It has to be done. They simply have to stop refusing us treatment. Okay? You're not corralling everybody. You make us homeless. You make us homeless, and you've got to stop trying to corral us in a city to a community health center. Right. So if you're out here, Mansfield, Sharon, the ones I called, and you're told names and what insurance we have, and then you say you don't take that insurance, you should lose your license to practice, correct? Because there's probably a law that you have to take Mass Health, but then you say you're not available, we're not taking new patients, all of that when you're lying, because they send people out to test you. So trying to lie like that is pointless. As an FYI, I might just be like blah, 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 and you go, she doesn't do anything, but other people do. So sometimes social media does have its benefits, Brian Buchanan, whether you like it or not. Because whatever happened to you last year, are you blaming me like you blame Scott, the Quincy police officer? Then you should just say that. You can't harbor that in your mind as part of mental illness, and it could make you extremely dangerous to me. When you were screaming and hollering in Quincy about, I called the police on you, and then I just wanted my phone back, bitch. I'm not going to have anything to do with you because you called the police on me, when you just said that you forgave me about it. So make up your mind. You forgave me about it or you didn't. Because he actually pulled that out front, but then he calmed down because I went, Brian, so you say stuff that's not true because you told me that you forgave me about that before we even got married. So nothing you say is true then. And then he calmed down and shifted off. So he clearly goes into a thing where he says shit he doesn't mean. So you're a drug addict using me for money, or something occurred that you should talk to a doctor about. And I explained it. Going to a hospital and explaining what happened doesn't mean you're going to miss court. That doesn't mean you're going to get locked up against your will. Just like you're saying, if you're not a danger to others and a danger to yourself, then you don't get locked up, because you don't want to. Why are you refusing to do it? I say it's probably because now you want to escape into drinking and drug use again. And you don't want to do that either. You know what happens because you've been doing this shit for 10 years. You want to end up in a bed shitting yourself again, and then I get a phone call and I go in there and see you in that condition. Is that what you want? Because I'm your next of kin. I don't know if they're going to allow you, Brian, considering what you're doing right now. I don't know if they're going to allow you to change your emergency contact away from me. I don't know if they're going to allow that because your aunt doesn't answer the phone. I have no idea. I don't think they should. This isn't Faulkner Hospital, and we weren't married then, and I talked to people at Manad Health. So I don't think that they should allow you to do it. That's my personal opinion. If he goes in there and doesn't explain to Nick and the receptionist what's been happening, he shouldn't be allowed to change his emergency contact. Okay, why is your emergency contact not going to be your wife anymore? What are you going to say? Because she wants me to go to a hospital. Duh. Because she wants me to go to a hospital, or she's accusing me of abusing her. Who did she say that did she report you for domestic violence? To who? Who did she report you for domestic violence? Anyway, I explained it to him in today's round of text. I don't know. Maybe he's understanding it more. I didn't want somebody to not realize what was going on and end up calling the police. I told them that about a week ago. I go, you have to stop talking to me like that around here because some people, they call the police when they see a couple fighting, Brian Buchanan, not I do it. Okay. Some people know never to do that unless the dude is like punching me in the face and they still don't like doing it. I don't know these people. Okay. So that discussion probably should have taken place. That's why I told you to shut your mouth and stuff because you go, we're staying with someone who isn't quite aware of your mental health condition and stuff, right? And you go, and that he has open cases and all this stuff. So you go, you don't want to be yelling to me. It's not really like that type of abuse, and I don't keep it a secret, anyways. Where people don't know us, or they're just vindictive and jerks, and then they call and report that I'm in trouble and it's domestic violence, and then they're hauling your ass away, and they think they're putting you in jail like a game, right? Like he is so unaware of reality and thinks everything's paranoid. He can get himself in trouble. Okay, so I wanted to avoid that. I've been wanting to avoid it for some time when I can tell that he's getting in his moods and shit. Okay. Usually he listens. He does listen. That night he wasn't listening. And I know why he wasn't listening. And he needs to admit that. It's because of the marijuana. It's because of the drugs. Right. The only other thing that he could say is it's because he got scared that he had to go outside or I was leaving him or something. Like, is it possible that he's having a flashback from when him and that female broke up? Was he ever kicked, like getting kicked out of places and stuff? That's part of PTSD. Yeah, like you can I'm not a doctor, but you could probably have a flashback and not realize it. You don't realize that's what's causing that strong of a reaction. Okay. Just like, has he ever, like, I don't know if you'd remember, has he ever had something happen in his life where that actually occurred? Where he robbed somebody? Okay. Did he ever do that to someone he was living with and then the police had to come? Or is that why he can't live with other people? Like, I don't know. It could just be something to do with his parents or his foster home or something, or that person he was with. I don't like to call it a girlfriend. I really don't, because I think that that's perpetuating not getting healing and recovery. I went over why. Briefly, I went over why. Children don't have sex. Children don't have relationships. Okay, so if you know that you thought that you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend when you were 13 or 14, okay, it doesn't mean that your parents necessarily were these people. Okay, because the stuff that Brian has told me and just everything about him, you can tell it was totally disgusting. Like, these people did it to these children themselves because they're gross. So not everybody that has that happen has a family like that. So I'm not suggesting that. And you're having trouble in your adult relationships and you didn't realize that that's like sexual abuse, you need to probably consider going to counseling. Okay. Right. Sometimes you have to listen to people that have sexual abuse in their history and they don't seem that messed up like that, in terms of my opinion about why that's happening. Okay. Like, if you knew that you had a relationship when you were 13, 14, 15, 16, and there was sexual activity, or you think that you got diddled or something, and you're having problems in your adult relationships, you're probably having flashbacks, but you don't know what that is. Okay, you don't know what a flashback is, and it's affecting your intimacy. like if you've been in relationships and like the person keeps it accusing you of being too insecure and too paranoid or too closed off in the bedroom and you don't understand why you're not having good sex and stuff. If you thought that you had a strong sexual attraction to someone, but then you can't really do it when you're together, um, that would be the only thing that Brian could say to me that would I would believe in terms of what some of the problems lately. Um, because there is kind of a difference from how he was before, because he was using before, and then sort of like since he's been sober, um, it's because he hasn't dealt with his sexual abuse. So he doesn't like it, and I don't know if he's ever taken the time to actually listen to me talk about it like this. I thought I was doing some of it last year. I don't know if he has access to the live stream in terms of like typing it. Clearly, if a mental health person actually agreed with me, that would be really beneficial, especially in a hospital. If they could get him to start talking about it, um, right? Like my therapist seems to understand that, and he goes to Man at Health, and he has to be there Friday. So um, explain it. Go. You have so much stuff to be working on, but like kind of in a nutshell, hopefully you trust us as four people in the mental health field that aren't your wife. Okay. She has abuse in her history and she's recovered from it. Okay. So that's why she doesn't drink and she doesn't use drugs. There's still sort of an issue with tobacco. Um, about controlling rage and stuff. And when she drinks, she relapses in tobacco. And then because of all the work that she was doing for 14 years that you call a psychosis, where she was single and celibate, she's sorted a lot of that stuff out. She's also already told us that she had an encounter and had flashbacks during a sexual thing. Okay, so she knows what that is. Okay. And I think I did ask him, and he said no, he doesn't know what it is because it's not. When you know a person, you know a person. He doesn't know what that is. Okay, he doesn't know what it is. So, um, right. And step one is you've got to stop calling that person your ex girlfriend. Okay. I know you get angry, and it's probably because of the flashbacks, and you're holding on to something because it's like the clothes. That's all you have because your parents were shit. You know your family's all fucked up. You already told me that. Your brother won't even talk to you, which is probably for his own mental health at this point. Hopefully, he's in recovery. Your father's dead now. Your mother told him he was a shit. You said he lost his mind before he died, so he could have been abusing you. It doesn't mean he intended to do it. Um, you've told me stuff about your aunt that you grabbed her ass at a family event and it was really embarrassing. So there's clearly sexual stuff that was going on with you within your family before the foster care or after, that you still have in your head and stuff. Like you were not even aware of it. You're so ingrained in it. You have so much not dealing with it, Brian. That's why the rest of your family was embarrassed, because part of what happens is those people grow up and they know enough that that's not what you do, and they close it all off in their head or they go to recovery. You're almost like a mentally retarded child where you're still doing it in public, and you're making them flip out because it makes them remember stuff they don't want to remember, and they can see how sick you are and you still haven't gotten help for it. So I'm sure they don't want you to live with them. They don't want you to visit, whether we had a, not right now, they don't, whether we had a wedding or not, because you're still not well. Okay. So you've got to stop referring to that person as your ex girlfriend. He did call her a different name. He usually doesn't say her name. Um, okay. So the thing about the foster care brother that was beating you, you don't make excuses for people beating you. Okay. It doesn't matter if you thought he was nice. That's something you were taught to do. and it's incorrect. Okay. So I can't be in an abusive thing. I've never been in an abusive relationship like that in my life. Okay. Um, just as an FYI, I've never been hit in a relationship. And it's like as soon as a person, usually I don't even put up with fighting. I've never been in a relationship where there's been fights. And I've sort of, it doesn't mean it's necessarily untrue, but I've excused it with you, Brian Buchanan, because I'm sober and you're the first adult sober relationship I've had. And I know that I have things to sort out. So it makes me more sensitive. Um, but not that type of fighting. As you know, even last year, I gave a whole commentary about being having vacillating between being angry and sad and stuff. I didn't know if you died or just took off, and that I said I wouldn't start saying stuff about your looks because that would be sort of crazy. Like why would that matter? So it matters to me that you called me an old cunt. Okay, that's very significant to me, as I explained. And you still have not apologized to me for that, and you want me to meet with you at Man at Health. So that's not going to happen. And that's why I keep pointing it out. I'm not like doing that thing that psychopaths do where they keep saying something back and back. Right. Even yesterday, you said because I was acting like one. Okay. How was I acting like an old cunt? Okay. You said you old cunt. You didn't say you're acting like an old cunt. There's a difference. You didn't go, you're acting like an old cunt. And you used the word cunt at me. You've never done that. You used to call me a bitch. That's what you said at the library. So there's a huge difference in that wording. Okay. So you need to think in your mind. I don't know, maybe talk to people who actually know you somehow. Like don't know you, but you've had conversations with when you're mad at me in particular. Like when we were broken up, like last year, were you calling me a cunt last year? Did you tell people I was an old cunt last year after you left Faulkner Hospital? Okay, since you got sober, even when you took off, did you tell Donnie that I was an old cunt? Were you using that sort of language with me about me? Because I'm not understanding why you would have gone back with me and married me and said you loved me if that's what you were doing. Because that's not even we're having a fight or I'm doing anything. And if you weren't doing that, um, like if you were telling people before that you fucked up the relationship, and that you just have mental problems or you were drinking and stuff, and you usually were complimentary and I've helped you and stuff, and you've never done that before, then something happened to you that you won't explain. Like I'm not sure that you've actually acknowledged you remember everything that happened. Okay, I'm not sure you've acknowledged that. And if you don't remember everything that happened, then you need to tell Man at Health that. You need to tell Man at Health everything that happened. Not have a conversation about how's your medication going, how are you sleeping, how's things going with Mary, are you drinking, right? How are you feeling? Like, did you do anything good for yourself that day? Just specifically, an event happened that your wife reported to us. Right. I don't find him to be dangerous, and I told him about my therapist and stuff. Okay. So, what happened with Mary while you were watching wrestling? Symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Elderly people with dementia-related psychosis have increased risk of death or stroke. That's a good question. That's a good starter question. Like, um, were you ever watching wrestling in your childhood with people? Is that something that you were doing when you were a child? Were you watching wrestling at all? Did you grow up watching it? Um, did you go to your uncle's house and you watched wrestling? Did you watch it with your father? Were you watching it with your foster care parents? I could see. Of course, it's always going to go to that, Brian, but it doesn't mean it's that. It depends on what the context is. Because this is the other thing. There might be a concern. Maybe that's why my therapist was asking me and I didn't know. And I was getting weirded out about it. Does he have any does he have any battery at all in a record that I don't know about? Like what happened with Charmaine? Since no one's interested in going to the police with that. It's been a long time, and I don't think anyone's interested in going to the police about it. Okay. So what happened with Charmaine? Okay. Did she get hit because she pulled your pants down? Were you drunk and you guys were fooling around and you wouldn't need to be having sex with her? Okay. It could be possible that Charmaine wasn't even having sex with him, but something happened where he had a nightmare or took his medication and wasn't awake. Okay. If he took his medication while he was drinking, that's a big retarded thing to do. But if he can get like that from taking his medication, I'm sure he can get like that when he's drinking and he doesn't admit it. Okay. So if he was drinking and he just like passed out and didn't know that there was sex acts going on or something. Yeah. Because the night that he went to urinate at the tree, I don't believe he was awake. And I was like, babe, I wasn't even mad. I go, babe, no, you can't do that here. And I think I said, we'll get kicked out of here. You can't do that. He didn't, he stopped, like he realized what he was doing, but he still went, there's no one around. Like he was still mad. But then he went into the house and whatever and went to bed. And then the next morning, I was like, I had a conversation. I go, I was saying something about you remember it. And he said, yeah. And I don't know if he's lying that he remembered it. Because then he goes, oh, yeah. And I said, yeah, I'd never wake you up after you take your meds. And he agreed with me. Yeah, because no, he definitely was not awake. It's not just him saying that. So if you didn't know that was going on with Brian Buchanan, it's at least one episode of it. That's at least one episode where he's not awake and he's saying he is. Like something's gone where he's a blank from medication, most likely. Because he sat on the bench to smoke and he was all like this. He never does that. Right. That's when I was like, you don't go out to smoke after you. Once he takes that medication, he needs to lay down. It knocks him right out, apparently. Yeah, he can't be doing anything after he takes that medication. So that could have happened to him the night that a black man got into it with him. Probably if the shelter knew that, they probably would be, we would hope, regretful of what happened because we both lost beds. I had a permanent bed and he was on a list to get one. He was just about to get a permanent bed. That's what happens when people working at a shelter don't know enough about you and they're mean and they don't care. Right. That could have happened because Brian seemed confused about what even happened. I could tell from the look on his face and how he was talking. And he definitely didn't want to leave. And he was vomited and stuff outside after we left because he wasn't having a panic attack. So that's at least evidence that after he takes that medication, he's got that's why he shouldn't be in the situation he's in. He should have been given a bed. So I don't care how these people are getting beds. Every dude in that bed has a condition like that. I doubt it. Kevin, the drunk, that's what happens to him, or he's drunk. Right? Maybe let the drunk suffer in the dining room. So if you have any other people, they're on medication. They have to tell you that, and you have a list of it, right? So you know that. Okay. At intake, they're supposed to ask that question about what you're on for medication. They don't know what sleep medication is. They have people on sleep medication in the dining room like that. You're going to have all kinds of fucking problems. Pardon my French. So anyways, you don't have to be a doctor to be an adult, intelligent person who observes and has been doing this shit since 2011. So in case you get all this weirdness about, I think I'm a therapist. I don't think I'm a therapist. Nope, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have to be. Living it. I'm a homeless person that does talk to people and listens to them when they talk, Brian Buchanan, even though you think I don't. Okay. I know you go, is he talking like that to his therapist when he's just talking? Do they say everything back that he says? What the hell, man? But don't interrupt him when he's talking. He said he was going to start saying go when he was done talking, and then that went out the window. That's why the text messages are good, Brian Buchanan. Right. If you feel there's a communication problem with your wife, but you love her and you want to stay with her, then just text each other back and forth. Right. When you know you have it, you don't have to shut down and never talk. I'm going to the phone. Get it? If there's something going on, I'm going to the phone, not Facebook. You told me not to do it. And then there you are commenting to me. You're doing it. So you're contradictory. Ring off. I'm divorced. Go to Facebook. What is that, Brian? Okay? Come on. Anyways, that is fun. That's the stuff that makes me fun. Yep. Shower curtain. That's the stuff that makes me fun. And then he seemed to get mad. I don't know. Maybe he's embarrassed about that time. I guess, I mean, you would, maybe to other people you were doing fucked up shit, Brian, but I thought you were funny. I mean, I don't want you to be, no, because then you say more mean stuff now, but I don't want you to be intoxicated. No, there's got to be like a medication, and hopefully it doesn't make you completely impotent. Right. That's my concern. If you had to take like heavy dose lithium or something, you need a psychiatric medication, in my opinion, and not all that other stuff. Maybe they might do a sleep med because it's heavier. Right. Just, you are all fucked up, dude, in layman's terms. Like, get off the Adderall. So just be prepared for that on Friday, because I'm not really going to know unless my therapist will. I don't think it is violating HIPAA laws, is it? It might be. Your wife can't know your medication? Come on. If he gives you another Adderall prescription, dude, yeah, or the one that does the monthly thing, I'm going to have to go to the court. I'm going to have to go to the court, and then it's up to the cops if they distribute that medication to you in a jail cell. I don't want to do it because I know he doesn't want to do it. I'm half joking. It's just, that's when you leave the state of Massachusetts, bro. That's when you leave the state of Massachusetts, bro. Why are you fucking it all up? Just like before the wedding. That's why you ended up in jail. You have no conditions of release that you can't leave the state. The fuck is wrong with you? You say you don't want to go to jail, and then you do shit that's going to put you right to fucking jail. So what am I supposed to do? Maybe you want to be in jail. You need to get your fucking head on straight. You're sending me all this fucked up shit. I don't know what you're doing out in public. And then you're right in the fucking place where they take pictures of you and shit and see what you're fucking doing. Like, what are you doing? There's cameras in the fucking tea. There's cameras in that stairwell. What the fuck are you on? I know you go, Brian, you need to stop. He never listens to me. We went through this at Faulkner. I got to go to court. Dude, your whole thing is you go into a diversion program. Isn't that how we ended up in a fucking halfway house? Ay, dude. It doesn't have to be a big deal today. Go to fucking Man and Health like I told you to. Right. That's your medical team. You could be like, I need to talk to somebody. I'm kind of like having a crisis. I've done it. If he's never done this, do not tell them that you need to fucking detox. Okay? Do not tell them that. I already told my therapist that you lied about having seizures. I already told her. You've never had a seizure from withdrawing from alcohol. You do it to get the medication. You admitted it verbally to me. Don't tell them that you started drinking. When? Yesterday? After 60 days, get the fuck out of my hospital. That's why they told you that on July 3rd. Right. Nope, your blood pressure's fine. You're lying to get this drug. You've never had, we just found out. It's the World Wide Web. You've never had a seizure from alcohol withdrawal. You told them you had one, and then you told your wife you lied, that you made it up to get the drugs. That's why I told him when he's telling me, I go, okay, well, if you have a seizure, I'll call an ambulance. What's going to happen if you smoke that much marijuana? And they're making it with the extra drug in it, I was told too. What's going to happen then? We went to an AA meeting, Brian Buchanan, because it's, to me, that's God Almighty, or it's a common thing in recovery, where that woman explained the whole thing to you, Brian. When you have a compulsive drunk, don't even bother with the marijuana. She told you what happened to her, that her entire life became marijuana, like an obsession. And then she was like having psychosis and shit. And her husband had to put a stop to it. Do you not recall? Do you not listen when they're talking? Then it's pointless to go to AA. But God made sure that you and I were there, so at least I could hear it. The windows closed today because she was cold. She turned the heat on. It was chilly last night. Yeah. I didn't think it was cold Tuesday night. It felt cold last night. So I'm sure he's going to give an excuse for everything when the shelter's open. He doesn't go into the shelter when he's drinking. He doesn't go into the shelter when he's drinking. He doesn't go into the shelter when he's drinking. He doesn't go into the shelter when he's drinking. Where did you sleep last night? I'm not coming to Man at Health today. That's why you ask those questions. It's no, it isn't even anything bad about Brian. The next question. Okay. Why couldn't I see you why couldn't I be with you last night? Because you're angry? Okay, so you're already worried about your behavior. And you still haven't fucking admitted it. That's why you need to go to a hospital. That's how you avoid going to jail. That's how you avoid actually harming me or another person. You want to wait until you flip out and punch me in the face or punch somebody else in the face and then end up in another ambulance comes? How did you, like, why did an ambulance come that time when you spat in an EMT worker's face? Was he doing that? Okay. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. He initiates text messages with me. Yeah, I know. I would probably rather be like it was at the library. I really would, because then every day you see him and you know he's not dead, right? But it's difficult to see somebody in that condition. But I knew that when I married the guy, right? I knew that when I married the guy. I'm abandoning him, right? I don't foresee that ever happening again because, yeah. If he actually gets picked up by an ambulance when he's married, hopefully this will stop. Because then they have to call me and then I go to the hospital. And not they call a number that no one answers. So hopefully, hand to God, right, he can't change his emergency contact anymore. What happened when he was coming to the library like that? I explained it at first. It might be similar to what he was doing yesterday. At first, I don't know if he told himself that he was, or he actually just snapped again. Right. He may just not be able to control it. And he's not told me that yet. Okay. he showed up and he said that he wanted me to stay out with him that night. He was not. I go, are you going to go back in the shelter? And he said, I'm going in the shelter with you. Okay. So he asked me if I would stay outside with him. And I was like, okay. And go to his area or something where he sleeps. And so we were together about 2 hours. I had the phone that I bought him because he left it in the library. And I explained I was trying to get him to go into the shelter. So, and it was not his phone. The phone he has now is his phone. Right. And we weren't married at the time. The phone he has now is his phone. He bought it with his own money too. Okay. So he had a phone so he could contact me and then he would have a way to keep his appointments. That's why a phone was purchased. Mike and Ryan, that's why a phone was purchased. Any of them. Colleen, who hopefully minds her own business now, and she should know. Colleen, Ryan, anybody in that phone. Mike. Okay, that's not what the phone is for. Was that weird that I text you back? That's not what that phone is for. Okay. The phone was purchased so that Brian could contact me. He could call an ambulance for himself, and that Man at Health could remind him of appointments. That's what he had a phone for. Not, do you have Adderall? Let's do this. Let's meet in the fountains. No, that's not what that phone was for. So maybe somebody could explain it to you. Not they're going to arrest you. Just, you're wrong. We'll just let you know. Right. It's difficult when police try to explain to these people that they're wrong. All right. They have their own thing and cops are bad and corrupt and all this shit in the system and people are square. You're wrong. Okay. So the phone, he has two. The phone is his phone. He bought it with his own money. Okay. Hopefully he doesn't sell the phone. You people don't understand how sick these people get. Or he gets so intoxicated someone steals it. That's why I kept calling it, to make sure it was him. Okay. He wouldn't know my phone number by heart. I'm lucky I know mine. I don't know his by heart. Okay. That's why it's my phone number. Yeah, that's the only thing that's between him and Man at Health, unless I talk to them again. That's the only thing about having his phone number. If he has a history, which he does, of rapid changing of telephone numbers, okay, and blocking people and losing it and having it stolen and shit from him. People literally beat him up and stuff too. So he's not supposed to be outside. That's supposed to be the agreement. No outside. Okay. Right. Right, because obviously I told him he had to leave to a train to a shelter, but the agreement in housing is no outside, and then he goes to a hospital. That's the agreement. Right. We already discussed it. Not the hospital. It was about being married. If he relapsed, would he still come home or would he be out for days? That was the whole thing. So are you lying about relapsing? Because that would violate that agreement. I think it's different when you have mental illness and you're married to folks. Okay. These people that talk about people lying, that's why I keep reiterating about a mental illness where the person is using. Okay. So you already broke the agreement if you're using. Okay. And you're lying. You have to tell me when you're using. You can't lie about your using. Okay. So, what types of things would be somebody has to go to the hospital? Does anybody ever have to go to the hospital, Brian? Because haven't you been to the hospital like 1,400 times in your life? Okay. Is it body lice? Is that how they talk to them, the cops? Is it body lice, Brian Buchanan? Like, do you want it to get to that? With the crusty eyes and the crusty ears and the hair and stuff? You just got yourself cleaned up and we're starting to build self-esteem. How are you in Braintree without your wife? Anybody that cares anything about this guy, that's how you need to talk to him. He doesn't need any money. Hand him a sandwich. He already texted me. He's afraid to panhandle because he might drink. Even if he did already drink, you don't go, he's already drinking. So the fuck what? You don't know what a hangover is? Let him throw up. If he has a seizure, then call an ambulance. Do not take this person to another fucking detox. He's going to a psychiatric exam, not he's going to a fucking detox. They don't have a psychiatrist there. Okay? They may show up with pitchforks and bar you from bringing him to that fucking Gavin place a 16th time at this point. Okay. Is it going to come to body lice? Now you're going to tell me you didn't have fucking body lice when you already told me you did? Is it going to come to body lice, Brian Buchanan? Because you were being bathed and clothed and the laundry done and food cooked, nails trimmed, beard trimmed. Like my sister didn't even flip out on you about your hair constantly that I had to clean up. I think she was talking about you and not me, although I lose head hair. It happens. You're not a perfect fucking person. Some people don't care that much about that because clearly she likes you because she used to flip out about Tommy because she knows that you're not doing it purposely. She felt Tommy was doing it purposely because the comments that Tommy used to make, he was an asshole. Yeah. It's part of dementia when you start thinking that. When you think I'm going to leave all this here and here on purpose to and fuck her, that's what dogs do. You have dementia. Okay. So it could just be early stage. Don't flip out on me. But, right, if you think you're sprinkling hair or you're like, fuck her, I'm going to do it even more, that's part of dementia. You need to watch canines. Okay, Pavlov's dogs? You just it doesn't have to turn into these horrible things you've heard about Alzheimer's, okay, or Barbara Kent. She wouldn't accept her diagnosis, and she also has an underlying mental health problem. If you're just regular people, then you just go, oh my god, right, and then you won't do that anymore. Okay, so is it going to be body lice, Brian Buchanan? Okay. Again, I feel that some of it, that's why I want to know about the difference between a drug addict and someone who's mentally ill. And so does my sister. Okay. Because I don't want to get into it too much, but she was with someone who had mental illness. Okay. So there's things she didn't know about you, and she thinks maybe you have schizophrenia. Okay. So, or like bipolar or schizophrenia or something like that, because that's how those people act when they have mania. Okay. They flip out, they say a bunch of weird stuff. They have hallucinations, like you said. I don't know about voices in your head. Yeah. So can they not sleep? I don't know about the sleeping. I think that's mania, but I don't know any of that stuff. You could ask a psychiatrist. So is it going to be body lice? Well, right now, I think he's being like a bullshit artist. That's what I think right now, but I'm not with him. Okay. Because some of it is like classic, you fucked up and you just won't admit you fucked up. But what's the reason why you won't admit you fucked up? Does it have something to do with admitting something about your mental health? Okay. Well, that's different than admitting that you don't want to be married anymore. There's different things. I don't know that. That's why I'm trying to communicate. There's a difference between you realize you're not sexually attracted to me. You realize that you were just high and drunk and you just go, I can't believe I actually like did this to a person. You realize the relationship isn't going to work and you're upset. You don't want to be alone. When you were told that didn't have to happen, my therapist brought it up too. You were already told that didn't have to happen. It does suck because it seems probably all fucked up to you, Brian, because these people won't give me housing. If I owned a house and we were having this conversation, you wouldn't think it was fucked up, right? I'm not Father Bill's place. I don't have that. And you see how they treat people. Okay. if I had housing, it wouldn't be like that. It wouldn't be all fucked up like this. And that's why I'm so pissed off and stressed. I'm not negative, and some people are not good, Brian. They're really not. Okay. And just because they have money and power doesn't mean they're good. Okay. You would think and you would hope your government was protecting you from that, but they're not. It's difficult for me because it's affecting how I'm behaving, and I feel like it's done on purpose. And then they go, look, see, she can't do it. And then here comes in swoop people to somehow take care of you. I'm not sure that's really going to happen now since you've been like this for 11 or 12 years. Even your lawyer said, oh, I usually, he looks better than he usually does. And that was when you were still sort of scraggly and you've probably put on weight. We've been gone from Quincy now for a month. Okay, so you show up all of a sudden and your hair is cut and your beard and your mustache is trimmed and your clothes are clean and new and your sneakers are new. Right? Who did that? Did Manit Health do that? Did you look like that when you left Gavin Foundation? You did do it, Brian Buchanan, but why? Yeah, I mean, when I went for my thing, I had to go to the bank and do something I didn't want to do. I had to go to the bank and get money and get cigarettes, right? It would be awesome if I believed it. I mean, I guess if he keeps saying it, then I have to believe it. But it would be awesome if he's telling the truth and all he's had is his psychiatric medication and marijuana. Just the whole trip that just happened, so that he can see what's going to happen if he, I don't know, maybe he has to decide. It's like the song, he'll decide what he wants. He'll decide what he wants. He's going to go and go, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't believe I was living in this. Right. Hopefully, but it sounded like he was all fucked up yesterday. So I don't know if that's what he decided, but you would hope he would go back there and go, oh my God, I can't, like, and talk to people and go, I can't believe I was hanging out with you. I can't believe that I was living in this thing. A dope slap, right? But he has I don't know if he means it, but his ego, right? You just go, it's difficult to explain. I don't know if he thinks it's tearing him down. You did do it, but why? I noticed that too. When we took a walk and you said that it was good that you wanted someone to take care of your things like that, were you lying? Interesting choice of words. Okay, so why did we ask for a ride to the dispensary? I thought we were walking. And why am I watching this? That was after he was mean. I'm pretty sure it was after he was mean. I wasn't even saying that. Okay, so in terms of allowances, when you're watching something that I don't even agree with, because to me, you're in some sort of flashback episode or something, like you're not understanding grooming. And like when you're a married man, yeah, you don't do that. It's just like the weird comment about screwing the model when you sound like you're just regurgitating some other dude. You didn't separate from anybody. You've been drunk for 10 years. You didn't separate from anybody, Brian Buchanan. You don't know who you even are. And you're texting me. You don't even know what just happened, did you? No, you don't know what just happened. You don't know what just happened because you don't have a psychotherapist and you don't believe in this God shit. where you take a walk and God's talking and you're uttering out stuff that's meant for you to other people. Or that's why you're supposed to walk and talk out. But you have a thing where you're too prone to using. Right, like a walk that long, yeah. Hopefully, I'd think of it and go, "This is what we should do. Just talk into the phone. I don't care. I won't pay attention to you. I'll put my headphones on, so you can take your walk and talk to God. Because this sounds like a bunch of nonsense, Brian. Like you're yelling stuff that doesn't make any sense." Oh God, soap operas on. Smoke a cigarette. I like my live streaming. I prefer talking than typing, but if I have to communicate with the person like Brian, then I prefer typing. Yeah. I think it's good for him to see the stuff he's saying, and it was definitely good for me last night. It doesn't mean he has to stick to those thoughts. I don't know if he thinks that. That's not what he's being asked by me. Yeah, he doesn't have to stick to those thoughts, but you go, okay. Is it possible that when you're angry or you're in an episode that you do and say things you don't mean? Or you forget? That's the thing. If he was drinking all the time, okay, so when you wrote, "She's insane, she thinks I'm coming back." Okay. Had you smoked any marijuana yet? Because you had been out of it all day, right? And you went to the dispensary. You probably did. You have time? Because it seemed real quick. Did you have time to type that? It was right after you left. I just saw it last night.
And I wanted to apologize to Heather and Lucy for the way that I treated them.
What happened?
Heather was wrong. And she seemed
You knew I'd go right to Facebook, okay? Just like with the ring,
So I asked
and
her.
you like to do it. That's what you told me. You like to get a rise out of me. Not you don't like the Facebook.
Big fight.
She's saying what now?
And I didn't ask. We are not that close. I didn't want to cry.
I guess I didn't think of that when we had our conversations about things I don't tolerate. Maybe he was surprised in terms of leaving a person or throwing them out or something. I didn't know what to do. You seemed extremely angry at me. Why would I leave with you?
There and apologize. She mentioned
Right. Sometimes you do stuff and you don't know the thought process, because I've thought about this after. And my sister and I talked about it this morning, and I think it would turned out exactly probably for the best, unfortunately, um, if he ended up doing things he's regretting now. It's unfortunate, but
how upset
um,
in her final hours. The guilt
because we didn't have those conversations, right? You go,
as it is.
if something like that happens and you don't want me to call the police, which most people agree with, don't call the police. Would you agree to get into an ambulance if that ever happened again? Like say that right now you go, yeah, I mean, I guess I probably overreacted. Like if you could even admit that you overreacted and not be defensive and tell everybody that I'm insane and we had a fight over wrestling. Okay. Even if we had a fight over wrestling, was that a little bit extreme? Even for us, was that a little bit extreme of a reaction? Some people do think that, but I'm not doing that. I don't think he thinks I do that. He's never accused me of doing that. They're like people that are victim play and stuff and then do gaslighting, as they call it. I guess, but know this about yourself. If you think that someone's doing that to you, say that you get so angry that you seem scary, like in real life, right? If you get so angry in real life and you're yelling like that, um, especially if you walk towards them, if they walk away from you and stuff, or they seem scared all of a sudden, whatever's going on, just stay away from the person. Okay. Because some people are sort of like they egg people on like that, like Brian was doing with the ring off and saying weird stuff. Some people do that, right? So you do have to stay away from them. Say that he was living with someone and he turned to them or he doesn't even tell them that. He literally turned to me and said, I'll get you kicked out of here tonight. And then said something about you old cunt and give me all the money and stuff. Oh yeah. Like, yeah, like what if he thought in his mind if he said those things to Candy that she would tell us both to leave? Would he ever admit that if that's what he was thinking? Or it doesn't mean he was doing it, but it brings up a point about people. If they just all of a sudden flip out like that, it's like they're trying to get you kicked out, like happened at the shelter. Based on knowing Brian, I don't really think he's doing that. But it sounds like he may have done it to people in the past. That's what it sounds like. It's like he's admitting it inadvertently. If you know Brian or whatever, it sounds like if you thought he was ever doing that to you, like if he made you so mad that you hit him, yeah, it's like he may have learned a technique to mess with you or get you kicked out or something. Either that or he's really used to being with people that will never do that to him. And then say that one day the person did it, he was probably shocked by it. Maybe that's what happened with the female he was with, that they should have never been together anyways. So if he's been carrying that around, that he thinks that, I think he told me he forced her out of the apartment. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Sometimes when people are real depressed and sick, they might make up that's what they were doing to mask what actually just happened, because then he'd have to seek out a certain type of help, which is not for alcoholism. Well, mental illness is mental illness, so I can't be inside of someone else's head, but it's really scary when you're not used to psychiatric hospitals and stuff. Yeah. That probably the bipolar people would say that they with the self-medicating because they don't want to go, I need medication. Yeah. I was saying that because I was under so much stress, but it goes away when I don't have stressors. Some people just feel like that all the time for no reason. So that maybe that's going on with Brian, where you couldn't tell that now. Like if he was like baseline and then you keep putting more and more stress on him, like that's how you end up at a train station like that. Because I don't know if I wouldn't even contradict if a doctor said, I think you've gone into major anxiety disorder simply because of the amount of time you've been under so much stress. Right. Like it's really affecting my mental health now. I've already stated that to my therapist and the person at Social Security. And all of it is because of abuse and not being housed and not being given a means to live. And there's these weird evictions and stuff and the way we're treated in the shelter. So we're still on top of growing up in a chaotic household and blah, 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 and living with Barbara Kent. So it messes people up. So everything isn't a personal fault, by the way. But anyways, what was I saying? Before I know I got to go out and smoke. What was I saying? Something about usually something about Brian, but not every time. Oh, about the breakup that should have been. So say that something like that happened. Say that she kicked him out and then she regretted it somehow. I don't think you should. Okay. I've been thinking about that myself, about I'm not going to allow myself to do that. He was trying to do it to me. I'm not going to allow myself to do that. If he said something like you should have called an ambulance or you should have called the police and not told me to go outside. Okay. Well, now's the time to have that conversation. Okay. And not, I just kicked him out. I didn't just kick him out. You just go, I didn't just kick you out, Brian. Okay. It seemed like you were like getting towards the point you were when you started yelling at me at the library and stuff, like when you took off from the shelter because you wanted to get pot. Okay. Right. And then you actually frightened me. I told him that. I don't think he's dangerous, no. But you actually frightened me because that was like, you've never done that before. Yeah, I mean, he's never even like gotten up into my face. Like usually when we're saying stuff, then we're not even looking at each other. So that was something different that he did too that we've never done. When having like a little argument, we're usually just like talking like this because we're pissed. It's almost like we're on Facebook. I don't think we've ever been looking at each other's face into our eyes and yelling at each other like that. And he looked straight right at me. But when he said the thing about old cunt and stuff, I wasn't even looking at him. It was kind of like the same thing. I think when he said, give me the money out of your purse, he was looking at me. And then when he said he was going to smash the phone because he was standing right here. And I just went, I obviously must have went into survival mode at that point when he was, and I was like, Brian, I'm like, you got to stop it, Brian. Now I have to have you leave. I remember saying that. I go, now I got to have you leave. And I was still telling him, I think I'm trying to not have to have the cops come. I go, because she's already here, Brian. She's already here. You got to stop now. She's here. And he said to me, I'm going to go tell her. I know. He literally thought it was weird. He turned and said, I'm going to get you kicked out of here tonight. And then when I was explaining to him, he needs to stop and all this, right? He goes, I'm going to go tell her. Dude. Oh, and that's when he said that my sister knows I'm crazy. So my sister's pretty upset that he said that to me. She's familiar with mental illness. I wouldn't say she's mad at him, though. Nope, I prevented that from happening. She understands exactly what I did now, my sister. She's like, yeah, I get it. Because clearly she seemed to actually like him. There's some things that she didn't like about him, but she seemed like she actually likes him, and so does her neighbor. Right. So, because some of these people know children that have ADHD and stuff and have autism. Like, he probably doesn't know that about people because he doesn't conversate with them. Yeah, like they seem to like him. So he might be super upset because now he thinks Candy doesn't like him or something. I wouldn't say that. She probably understands him more if he was mentally ill and not just a drug addict. She's also familiar with drug addicts too, as unfortunately most people are. That's what happens when you don't listen to other people talk, Brian. You don't really know a lot about me, or really probably Candy or Jeannie. So my brother was a drug addict and he died. I found him dead in the bathroom in April. Okay, so I don't really want to talk about other people's personal lives, but there's a lot of people that know people that have drug problems, and some of them have died. So,
as far as I can tell, your relationship is getting a lot of respect. Hey, it's not like anyone's.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was part of the reason he got upset, because he thought that was going to make people not like him. That doesn't really happen with mental illness, Brian. I don't know if that's been his experience in his life, or people told him that was why, or that's what happens when if you tell about the abuse. I'm going to tell them you're crazy and stuff. Because clearly, if he has an ADHD diagnosis in his background, that could be what happened. And then he just got hooked on the medication, and then he knows how to fake it or something to get it. I'm not a doctor. That's why I said that to my therapist about the ADHD. I go, I don't know. I haven't seen his medical record, like if what's in there. Okay. Do they know that his whole family is on drugs? Someone else told me too, not just Brian, in terms of if he made it up. Okay, like they use crack cocaine specifically as one of them. Okay, so You would want Brian as a child to have that diagnosis to get the medication. And he'd have to take some of it because they blood test them to make sure they have it. Okay. So I'm sure that people are aware that that goes on. So and when they're an adult, they know how to get it. Not they actually have ADHD or they need the medication anymore. It's good that he admitted it to me. I think he expects me to tell someone. I really do. He knows I have a big, huge mouth and that I get mad. He knows that. You got to think. It's part of recovery. They get mad at times, but they're doing it on purpose. It's good when they stop hiding. Like say how when we were hanging out in 2023, say that he does that with other females and then they go to a hotel or they go sleep at a spot or he pretends that's where he's sleeping, but he doesn't actually sleep there. And then all of a sudden he goes, I just want your phone and the money in your purse, bitch, and then takes it and leaves. Would he tell me that he was ever doing that?
So many painful moments, so many obstacles.
That's all I want to know because it's kind of like this. I'm trying to indicate it to him in the nicest of terms. If that's what you do, okay, and like that's all you think about me or thought about me, it's not going to work on me again. That's kind of what I'm saying. Even though it hurts me, I don't want to be in a denial about it. I just watched another video this morning about the guy talking about, I already knew that they would go out with people, but to marry someone just to get their DTA cash for drugs, apparently they might, according to what this dude is saying. And that's enough money. Some people get Social Security, whatever it is. They have housing. Right. So, yeah, like, would he tell me if he was ever doing that? It's not like that's even charge of me telling the cops or something about it. I just want to know about it personally. Because I'm trying to figure out what happens. Like, what, in terms of, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, did you flip out in just because you got scared that we were breaking up? Did you flip out because you got scared because you had to be outside? Like, did it make it worse? Like now Candy and Jeannie and stuff don't like you and this is like your new family here? Right, because clearly this family is not your family. Did you go into some sort of thing that you do when you're using? Will you just shut down all emotions because you need money for something? I think, in a sense, even if he used, but it would be awesome if he actually did that and then just didn't use. He chose not to actually do that for himself. Like, even if it was like, screw this, I'm not going to let her do this to me, because then she'll be on the thing going, see, look. I hope so. I hope he didn't go, well, maybe if I drink, then I can just blame it on drinking. I hope he didn't do that. But hopefully, I don't know, man. He sounded drunk to me. Because you go, if you were just smoking the marijuana and high, he claims that he didn't want to hear my voice or something. I know he goes, I'm not listening. He types, I'm not listening to your abusive message. It's not abusive. I'm calling to make sure this is Brian and if he needs an ambulance. That's all I've been texting to you since you were told to pack up your backpack. Right. That was just weird, dude. Like, even when you agreed to walk to the dispensary and then you still did that with my sister, and when I got out of it, we just agreed to take a walk. Why are you trying to get out of a 3-mile walk? you went against what we said, and she doesn't seem like she maybe doesn't need to be going back outside. I know you just go, what the hell, dude? She doesn't care. No, she doesn't care about any of that. She keeps telling me that, but you just go, yeah, I mean, do you have any consideration? Just think about that. She pushed back this thing early to take you to eye appointment, and then you're dragging her out of bed at 10 o'clock at night to take you to a dispensary when you can just walk to it the next day. Because she couldn't do it on Wednesday. She was out all day on a field trip, and he knew that. So, anyways, right. Did you do all that and then just go, I'm not going to wait. I already just said that, didn't I? Because I stopped for a minute and forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was explaining it again. Okay. So then after that, it wasn't it Wheel of Fortune we missed because it's bothering me that you don't like the shows. That's number one. Because I don't know if you noticed, Brian, it's like the only two shows. I'm explaining myself. It's the only two shows I can actually focus on because I'm under so much stress. And because I have PTSD so bad, I have trouble focusing. Okay. It's the two shows I can focus on for like any amount of time. So I feel sort of like you purposely don't like them. Okay. You just sit through an hour with me and pretend you do. It's an hour a day where you sit and pretend you like two shows. So you didn't say that about the wrestling. Right. That's part of the issue. There's got to be some way to be able to communicate without just flying into angry rages. Some way to do it. Okay. So you put on this thing that you were already told I don't like it. You can't watch it on your phone. All I said to him too, and this was it's on, right? And again, it's females. You go, there's no dudes wrestling. Do you get what I'm getting at? I mean, come on, dude, really? What if all of a sudden I have to do Chippendales? All right, so I explained the other part about, to me, it's triggering something because it's got something to do with grooming and it's disgusting. So I don't know if whenever you get mean like that, it is because of your abuse. Like you're either having flashbacks when this shit happens or you're morphing into your abuser or someone that abused your mother, maybe your father that you thought was good, and then your mother sucks because he lost his mind before he died, and your mother said it was good for you that he died because maybe he was abusing the fuck out of you and you have no recall of it because it happened at such a young age or you blocked it out. So this is on. Your mother, okay, says something about why is this on, or why is this on with the fucking kid in the room? Okay. And then here comes the abuser is all super snippety, or it's this. You put tits on to piss off your wife. She goes to bed early and you're out here molesting your kid. That's another thing they do, by the way. Right. Just if you have not resolved your sexual abuse, it becomes annoying, Brian Buchanan. I told them last year, this is a dude who said he saw my face. Now I know he saw the Facebook, but if he was blocking me, how was he seeing it? Unless he unblocked it when I went to bed at night. But I think that wasn't he sleeping in a toilet? Or was he in, I'm just kidding, in that train station? It's not the train station, by the way. Anyways, wasn't he in the halfway house? Because he's apparently watched a lot of TV, so I've been catching him in things like he doesn't go without a phone like I do. Not a chance in fuck, Brian. I already caught you in this. Okay. You're either staying in people's houses, you're staying in hotel rooms with people, or you've got the shit on your phone. Right. because I don't have any of that. You're like this TV show, that thing, you know, all about Amazon Prime, blah, 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 blah. How long have you been homeless? Okay, because you're not really understanding what I've been through, which I don't mean to like say that like you have to like feel bad for me, but you just go, dude, you have no concept of what I've been through. None concept of what I've been through. Based on, I'm talking about since you and that person broke up and you've been drinking. Okay. I'm not talking about your childhood. I'm talking about since this Holocaust started in 2008. You have no idea what I've been through. Not the other way around. I'm constantly making concessions for you because of your upbringing and the things you told me about yourself. Ask anybody that ever watches a live stream, sees me type, talks to me about you. I'm always doing that. Okay. Like, how am I dragging Al down? What am I doing to you that I did to Al? Then just say that. Go, yeah, I don't know, man. I was high as a kite, or I was in an episode. I don't even actually really think that. Or go like this. Yeah, I guess I figured maybe you were just a fucking bitch and like all this shit you're saying about this dude isn't even true. Like, if you actually think that I'm mentally ill and that's why I lost my children, we're at a complete impasse. Okay. Just for sure. You don't understand that I've been in contact with the mental health people at least since 2016. I can't remember when I first started going to a therapist in Quincy. My diagnosis is post-traumatic stress disorder. You can see the letter from my therapist again. They know all about what happened in Florida and the God stuff. Yes. Okay. So I guess Candy, maybe somebody could explain to you what happened with Al. If I was abusive towards him. Because you can't tolerate my abuse. I know, you just go, so what's this? Are you actually going to talk to me right now? After, what did he say? Belittling this entire thing? What are you talking about, belittling this entire thing, dude? It's fucking wrestling. And it's not even WWF. It's not Hulk Hogan and all this. It's like females jumping around. You just go, dude, seriously? Yeah, I am going to belittle this. Yep. I think that's what made me fly off the handle, because he was so mean to me. He becomes brutally mean if you won't give him what he wants. So if he doesn't know that about himself and he's going to keep saying that we had a fight about wrestling, or your wife got tired of your abuse. And yeah, changes have to be made. That's probably God to you. But if you don't believe in God, think I'm crazy, we're at an impasse at that point. There's not a point of fighting. It's sad to me and it's depressing, but after knowing me this long and the amount of like evidence of God's existence and stuff, you just go, you called me Nun Mary in Plymouth. So just something to think about.
Yeah, talking about open land.
Yeah, well, I can see that. I really just don't hope to find a new man.
I think that'd be best. There's a lot of baggage with me. I mean, it'd be nice to find someone new. Best.
To you, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything. I know that you work closely with her. I just want to know if she's confided in you.
No offense, Carter, but I think she would confide in me first. Because I am her mom and she does share everything with me. So, but you're right. You're right about the baggage.
them through a lot. Nothing. They share.
Yeah, she'll leave a stipulation to you two. I love talking about Hope's future, but I think I should focus on Hope for the future. Excuse me. Thinking about it. That's how it started. And how thrilled she'd be. Well, how thrilled she always is when it's true. Like, she loves it. She loves it. And I do too. And it's not just about it. It's about who you are through. And just the back and forth with me and Steffi. All those years. And you knew that I had a child with this other person, and you just had to accept a divided heart and divided time. And I know I knew, but I didn't really know how difficult that had to be for you for so long.
Thank you for saying that. It's nice to hear that. Coming from you. But Leanne, we've moved on. And the thought of revisiting that.
I hear you. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, as much as fingers crossed you were on the same page. I knew it's a lot. It's asking maybe too much, and I'm good. I just want you to know how I feel, and you do, and that's all that matters. So we're cool, okay? We're good. We're good.
Argan oil and care system. Little high humidity. Up to 72 hours for control. Riz. Fruity Sleek and Shine by Garnier Naturally.
If you have this, and you get this, you could end up with this. Unexpected out-of-pocket costs, which for those on Medicare or soon to be, is a good reason to take charge of your health care. Medicare supplement. Why? Because Medicare alone doesn't pay for everything. And what it doesn't pay for, like deductibles and copays, could really add up, even thousands of dollars a year. Medicare supplement plans help by paying some of what Medicare doesn't, and making your out-of-pocket costs a lot more predictable. Call United Healthcare today and ask for your free decision guide. Learn more about plan options and rates to fit your need. Now, if you like this, greater, you'll love that Medicare supplement plans have no networks and no referrals needed. See any doctor, any specialist, anywhere in the U.S., as long as they accept Medicare patients. And also give you more flexibility when traveling in the U.S. Your plan goes with you, anywhere you go in the country. Even better, these are the only plans of their kind, endorsed by AARP. Call United Healthcare today for your free decision guide. So, if you have this and want less out-of-pocket costs and more peace of mind, consider adding this and Medicare supplement plan. Take charge of your healthcare today. Just use this or United Healthcare about a Medicare supplement plan.
Can the Riva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey!
No, Fraser, Frank. Brad, how are you? Brad.
Support up to 7 brain health indicators, including memory. When you need to remember Nariva. My team's got my back.
Yeah, why did I type the name Christine? Somebody knows. Somebody knows why I typed the name Christine. Specifically, Christine would know why I typed the name Christine. We'll leave it at that. I don't know if it's like what happened in Albuquerque, which I explained to Brian. He probably doesn't believe me. That's okay. Where someone re-checked my stroller and stole a bunch of razors and stuff. And then I typed the word Vicky. And within a day or two, a woman named Vicky showed up at the library, basically confessing to me that she's the one who stole my shit. So someone knows what that means. It means something. It means someone that crossed me probably, and her name's Christine. Right, because you go, it means something to someone. Anyways, I don't worry about that stuff. That comes out in the wash sometimes, especially when the very person goes, oh shit. Anyways, those cigarettes that we've been rolling are actually stronger than the American Spirits, which is weird. Because at the shelter, I felt like the American Spirit cigarettes were stronger. Yeah, I don't know if it's because we've been smoking so many of them or what. Even like the stuff coming out is like lighter and you can't like feel like the burn and stuff. It's not really about the nicotine. So I bet you there's actually more nicotine in those rolled cigarettes, or it's because I've been smoking so many of them. Yeah, it's just something I noticed. I was a little bit nervous about smoking them because even those at the shelter were sort of, but again, the amount of stress and stuff, you can feel jittery and stuff. And yeah, the longer you smoke, you don't get jittery anymore. That's the problem with it. It's like any other drug. When you first start smoking, you go, why am I even doing this? I feel terrible. So it's probably because I was supposed to stop on October 1st and I haven't. And then I mentioned again about walking. And then I mentioned right on Wednesday night about wanting to stop smoking. And then again, all this more stress. So you just go, I can't blame another person for it, but you just go, you're not really helping me with this, Brian. Right. I've done a lot to help you. And it's like, if you could think of another person, sometimes it helps with your recovery. Not we get out of taking a 3-mile walk. I'm supposed to walk like 8-10 miles a day. That's how I stopped smoking. Right. So it's grand that you got out of it. It's really grand that you got out of it. And you got out of it big time. And then here I am still sitting here smoking. So yeah, you got out of it all right. Right. Anybody within the sound of my voice around him, if he has any questions, hopefully he will show up for his eye appointment. He has to go tomorrow because he won't get any of his meds. Yeah, he has to go to see Nick tomorrow. If he avoids Minute Health today, he told me if I cared about him, I would go. He needs his shit. That's all he has. That's not what you're saying, Brian. It's not what you're saying. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's not what you're saying. I don't know if you're talking about me, that I'm all you have, because that would kind of make sense to me. I don't like that type of talk because it's kind of abusive. But yeah, I am all you have. And I don't know if that means that you don't want to divorce me. You don't want to break up with me. I already told you the conditions. Like, I don't want to hear another word about a detox. I don't want to hear anything about drug use and drinking. I don't want to hear about another detox. Right. Obviously, if you go to a hospital, you call me from a hospital, or a hospital calls me, I will go to the hospital. I'm sure Candy will drive me to a hospital to find out what's going on with you and visit with you. Okay. That's not even going to Managed Health, and Managed Health calls me and says, Brian's here, and like, we want you to come here, or we need you to come here. Right. If you really wanted me there that badly, you'd go to Managed Health and you'd have Managed Health call me. Okay. Right. Because that's not what he's saying. He's not saying, I want you to be there with me because I need to do what you're saying, or at least find out from them if they think I need to be doing something that I'm not doing already. He just keeps talking about his stuff and his shit. He doesn't care about clothes. He's in Boston. He knows how to get clothes. If he forgot how to do it, admit that. Right. He can get another telehealth, another hotspot. I'm not trying to be a jerk, so like I'm withholding his property. It's just he doesn't seem to get the dropping the stuff off. He wants me to meet with him there, but he's not saying what. Maybe he's not able to say that. Right. Just, you got to go to Managed Health or a hospital. Just like July 3rd. Just like July 3rd. Not a detox. Right. It worked on July 3rd, Brian, even though they didn't keep you. Right. So if you're trying to get my attention or get back with me, that's how you're going to do it. Not these text messages. Like, right. You know that helped you by doing that. I know at the library, because you weren't drinking that long. Just because of the nature of what happened, it would be nice if you could get your head out of your ass before court. I really don't want you to like miss court or show up at court and now you have to explain to the judge and the lawyer why I'm not there and what you've been doing. Of course they're going to ask. Your lawyer called me after you were bailed out, after the wedding, and that's all he asked me. Did we get married, and where are you, and if you're with me? So I know they're going to. Okay. Even if we're going to get a divorce and you're having marital problems and you wanted me to go to the court just so, they can see it's not like one of those times again. I don't think they're telling you that, but it seems to be conditions of release to me. You can't be living in a stairwell. And yes, I could explain that. It helps when there's another person. I could explain about what happened at the shelter because I was there. Okay. And the conditions in the shelter and all of that. And what we did after that. We didn't stay outside. Okay. And then someone has reported us to the housing authority. Not we decided to take off. Not because of what happened on Wednesday night. Candy didn't kick us out of here. She was real hesitant about doing it. She kept asking me if I was sure that that's what my decision was about what to do. Right. So don't just go off on a panic now. Right. I'm pretty sure the day that they put you in jail, did you say something to them about having to go to a hospital because you drink and you're going to have seizures? And the judge wouldn't hear it, right? The judge said, then we'll transport you by ambulance. Okay, so I'm trying to help you, and then you can maybe recall what happened, because you kept telling me you didn't understand what happened and why. I know, like, that's not me being psychic. It's just from what I heard in the courtroom and what I know about my court cases. Okay, and just, they don't want homeless people sleeping outside, sleeping in the train station, sleeping in stairwells. They don't want you covered in body lice. They don't want you desperate like that, or me, because it's not right. it's helpful for you not to implode right now, Brian. Like things were going to go real good. And it doesn't mean don't freak out because I'm saying like everything is lost. But things were really going good. We both agreed to go to court before we left for Florida and just explain to them why we're leaving, even though it seems weird to you, Brian. And that's why I said, if you feel it's in your best interest to stay in Massachusetts and go back into Gavin and get in CSS and do the job program and go in a halfway house, then you need to do that. Okay. It's not like before. There's nowhere for me to go, Brian. Okay. It's not like before. I'm not in the shelter in a bed. I've assessed already that they did the same thing where they're not going to give me their housing and the housing authority won't give me housing. I hired a lawyer for Social Security for a reason. They're not even the state of Massachusetts. And I hired a lawyer. I'm talking with a lawyer on Monday from Florida, and hopefully they'll take that case for me. I'm doing the best that I can do, Brian, under the circumstances. I know you're nervous about going to another state and being outside and all of that. As you can see, when you got away from me, you didn't go into a shelter. So I'm not preventing you from going into a shelter. Okay. I was preventing you from being outside as long as I possibly can. And because we don't have housing, right, you already know the conditions of the shelter. Neither one of us can lay down. That's not good for either one of us. We both saw what happened when we can't do that. We get very sick. So sometimes in life it does, believe me, it wicked sucks because this has been my life since 2011. We can hope for something to be different. I know myself, unless things have changed in Albuquerque, Brian, it's better in Albuquerque than Massachusetts to be homeless. And I explained to you, the winter is coming. So you know how you said how cold it was Wednesday night and you didn't want me outside because it's too cold? Okay. That's why I said to go to Florida, because they keep telling me to deal with this divorce and the alimony and go to Florida anyway. So if the cops ask, it's not even made up. I'm already talking to an attorney on Monday. Right. And I was a Florida resident, and I have a reason why I left that state for an amount of time, because I'm a victim of domestic violence, Brian. Okay. I didn't lose my children because of drinking, because when I asked you before why you thought I lost my children, I wasn't even really that mad, but I was hurt, I think. So it probably came across as mad. I was hurt and disappointed after all of 2023 with the live streams and stuff, and just our relationship, that you thought that's why I lost my children. It's not why. And just this thing about calling me insane, that is what Alfred did to me, not I did that to Alfred. So that could have been God explaining it to you. It's part of my mental health condition that my therapist, when I did my 15A, the clinician that did the 15A explained it to the judge. Okay, you weren't really involved in my life at the time, Brian, because you took off on me. Okay. Believe it or not, I don't really burden you with a lot of things. That's why I have a therapist. I thought I explained it to you, that I'm under a lot of stress and I have a lot of things going on in my own head that I don't burden you with. So if you're going to keep thinking there's some other reason than what I've told you, there's a difficulty there. Because of my childhood abuse, and the things that Alfred was doing, I wasn't really with it for about a year because I'm a victim of domestic violence. He threatened in writing to harm my children. So he shut all the utilities off in the house, not once but twice, with the children in the house with me. Okay. He pretty much flipped out and went off of his gourd because he didn't want to get a divorce. It took me from 2006 to 2010 to get him out of my house. So I literally had to leave my house, Brian, to get away from him. I'm not Nicole Brown Simpson, who was allowed to get a divorce and was collecting alimony and had her own condo with herself and her children. He wouldn't give me any support after he left the house and moved in with his girlfriend. He purposely stopped paying the mortgage on my house. He wasn't paying the utilities, and he wasn't filing for divorce. So he was never ordered to pay child support and alimony. So I've been through a lot. So if I'm an old cunt and you won't even accept that that happened, and you won't seek treatment for that specifically, and I'm still at fault all the time, I can't meet you at Man at Health today. Okay. Right. I understand what happened at the library in Quincy, and we weren't married yet. And I was actually showing up there because I was very concerned about you. I know about emotional blackmail. And if I cared about you, I thought about leaving the shelter at that time, but I didn't. And I kept showing up at the library, and I kept, being there. Not remember when you accused me, Brian? You came out of the library, saw I was there, went back inside, came out of the library and yelled, are you looking for me? You've been following me around all day. And that you were going to get a restraining order against me. Okay. It's not that I wouldn't stay married to you, but you're being an asshole. Like, you clearly go into episodes because you're mentally ill. I don't know how you're blaming that on drugs and alcohol. I wasn't even following you around. I had walked to North Quincy to see my therapist and then walked back. I wasn't even at the library. I'm not sure if you thought you saw me. I mean, you told me later, before that you had hallucinations after you left Faulkner Hospital and you didn't know what you were doing. And I don't go around accusing you of doing that every 2 seconds. When you admitted it to me. So I'm traumatized. I'm completely traumatized. Yes. It's not about wrestling. You're just telling me recently, within the past week and a half, that you don't even believe in God. When we were courting, you were talking about the God in the sky. I mean, I don't know if you must have been high as a kite. Then when we got back together in 2024, you told me that you had been praying to God, talking to God. Now you're telling me outside that you don't even have a faith. You don't have a faith and you don't care. And I mean, what the fuck, Brian? First, that you don't remember the 80s concert and you make me want to live again. Thank you. And you don't believe in legal marriage, but you'd marry me. And if I wear a ring, you're going to wear a ring, and we're going to go to New Jersey and all this fucking horseshit I made up in my head that you were talking about the fucking Garden of Eden, that we were going to go to heaven together. Oh, terrible fucking person I am. And then you're telling me you don't even remember these fucking conversations, like you're just a con artist. Then we're outside now, a couple months later, and you don't even believe in God, and you don't care and shit. You just go, I'm trying to talk to you about your personal faith, and I can't even have that conversation with you. I don't really care. But there's a problem that I don't care about fucking wrestling. Okay.
Recently ran into a strange problem. His neighbors after their teen son came over and mowed his lawn without him asking. Now, when he went outside to ask what was going on, the teenager explained that he does this for lots of neighbors. And
how about this? How about if we have a relationship where we're both children disgusted with ourselves and we just run around going blah and sticking each other with our fingers and...
Why haven't you paid my son? What do we think? Who is in the right in this
let me just say, okay, there is, and I'm gonna, this is gonna be a little controversial. There is a scam that goes on in my neighborhood where they paint the numbers.
Oh yeah, I got 2 watches today in the mail. I'm just kidding. One of them is definitely mine, and yeah, I opened the packages because the boxes are big. So I don't know what the intent was with this. If one of these is supposed to be his and the other one is mine, or he bought 2 things again. Right. I don't know if it's him doing it or Amazon and they're overcharging him because he just had it happen with eyeglasses. Okay. This is the other thing that came up, Brian. This is for you to sort of understand yourself and why I said the thing about the hospital. Okay. Then you need to tell me that. Like you haven't even gone, you refuse to go. It's not like July 3rd where you went to South Shore, you called an ambulance, and then they released you the next day. Remember all that? With the bracelet and please answer the phone and the bracelet, I'm really in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Remember that? I believed you when they said they just told you to leave because of what happened at Faulkner. And that they said that you were stable and your blood pressure and stuff. Okay. And then you went to Gavin because you keep telling me that you're an alcoholic and stuff. Okay, I get that. Now you've had 60 days sober. Okay. And it's just, and then the meanness is because you're depressed. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like intervention, Brian, where I didn't know it at the time because I remember I was shocked when you needed $55 for pot. Okay. Like I was there, they charged him that. I guess I was like shocked that you were spending $55 when the other ones were only 15 or 18. I think Candy and I were both shocked. Okay. And then the package looked very small to me. Okay. So I think you thought it looked small too. And then we were like, okay, so this is going to last 4 weeks. Cause why are we going from spending 15? And no, they still have stuff that's 15. Why are we going from spending 15 to 18 to $55? We come here once a week. And then you told me it was because it was going to last a whole month. Okay. I mean, I'm not really getting that, but you wanted to try it. Okay. And then we made an agreement at that time that if it didn't last 4 weeks, you were never going to do that again. You were just going to go week to week to week. Okay. After everything that's happened, including how much you smoked, and then your rapid mood changes, okay, that actually became frightening to me. I'm turning it into something more than that now. Not I thought that at the time. There's a reason why. On top of what happened at the library those 4 days. Okay. That's what happens, I guess. I don't know. When people have manic depression, bipolar. Okay, not just depression. Okay. And a lot of those people have had drug and alcohol problems because they keep trying to self-treat. So I'm pretty sure a person like that most definitely should not be on Adderall. Okay. And yeah, if you're manic, you probably have trouble focusing sometimes. Okay. Not only is that going to aspirate your condition, you could have a stroke like that woman I told you about. She wasn't prescribed Adderall. She got it from her boyfriend and gabapentin. Like you sound just like her. You could have a stroke in your head and die. Especially when you're that jazzed up like that. Okay, so that's why it became like a bunch of stuff, but it's really concerning to me. It's probably just like any other drug use, Brian. You don't know anything about people that are using crack cocaine and meth. You told me recently that you used to have a wicked bad meth problem and that you were really not proud about that time in your life. Okay. So if you all of a sudden saw yourself displaying like behaviors like that and you're not using meth, is that concerning to you at all? Well, because what can happen with mania, Brian, is you start doing behaviors like that. It's my understanding that meth induces like a manic state. Like you could start doing all of those regrettable things that you were doing then in a manic state because you're not being treated for mania. It's not you're not getting proper care. Okay, I have a friend, Brian, that I contacted because I know that she has a history of mental illness. Okay. And she said she's just recently got 30 days sober and that she's finally getting proper mental health care, but it took her years to get stabilized on medication, good doctors, people that will call an ambulance and have her hospitalized. So, if someone really cares about you, then right. Yeah, just some of the stuff. If you really cared about me, you would be there. I told him to come right back here yesterday. Right, not to this apartment, but I told him to come back to that train. That's what I told him, and he didn't do that. He went to Braintree. So,
We ended last season, with a lot of questions, so definitely this first episode is going to answer a lot of those. But it also is going to set a tone for the theme of this season as well.
right, that is valid if he said he didn't have money because he has to take the commuter rail. I don't know if Managed Health can help him with that. There has to be some sort of a plan about what I'm going to do anyway. Yeah, I was willing to leave here yesterday. The whole plan was we were going to leave today because she can't keep us here because someone reported us to housing. So I know you just go, that's not me doing that, Brian. Yeah, like I don't know if maybe he can understand that part of it between what happened at the shelter and what happened with the housing. Not he did something. He did something in a reaction to that. Not he did something. Right. So that does happen, Brian. Right. You right. If you got upset when they told you that we had to leave, I understand that. I got upset too. Not I did something to be told the police were going to be called. That guy clearly was gearing up to suspend me too. I explained it. He started accusing me of getting into it with his wife, just like she did. And then they both walked out of the place and quit. You just go, and then the shelter doesn't call and go, we made a mistake. We see that those were the staff members that were on it that night. Right. So I don't know where you guys have been staying. They have my phone number. Fuck yeah, they have my phone number. Steph has my phone number. Yep. If you guys want to just come back to the shelter. They don't do that. They never have to correct a fucking mistake they do. It's been going on since 2012 with them. This whole thing with having a phone is new since 2023. So those are things that the court wants to hear about. Right. I don't think Brian should worry about that because, right, I don't think he should worry about that. If something ever happened and I wasn't there, I think that they'll ask him exactly what happened. Okay. Right, because even just knowing we were in someone's public housing apartment, they would know we can't stay there. Hopefully he remembers to tell them that someone reported us. Yeah, not just we left because we didn't want her to get reported. I wanted to actually kind of not have that happen. Right. So we have an airplane ticket for the 22nd of October. So I guess I don't really want to agitate Brian, but Oh,
So
that's
I joined the
Facebook.
US Army, became a
See.
US Global Ambassador, and I, for 20 years, traveled the world visiting our troops. In the process of traveling so much, I realized it was thanks to them that my family could have it. They afforded this opportunity. And the more I told their story, the more I started realizing my parents sacrificed greatly for us to be here. And it turned into like a memoir, but really a tribute to this country and to my family. You started work most rewarding in my life. I've met thousands of soldiers. I've heard hundreds and hundreds of stories that have just absolutely taught me, more and more what it is to be proud of when it comes to being American. Also, they really fit what we waste. And I think in the moment that we're experiencing right now in our country, we have been kind of pushed to fight our own when we were fighting for the same people. That, I hope that this story and I hope that these conversations
Right. I don't know. If I mentioned something about court, then he might understand why I told him to go into a shelter.
And what it really looks like when we actually hold each other's hands. And I hope that that makes sense. I think that's the key. I like that idea. So don't go away because when we come back, we're going to actually challenge Walmart. The game we created.
How was everyone's day?
It was great. We made this taco crisp, right? I saw a weird bird. You came home. I wrote the fat loaf, and now we're eating dinner.
Dad, I got a huge barbecue wing steak. This bottle says I need 3 triple. That stuff has way more water. A little bit of stuff goes a long way. So you can save your shirt and maybe even a little money. More money for nights at the library. For better clean with less, it's got to be Tide.
Unlike other bags, only a Ziploc freezer bag features our exclusive 9 points of protection that helps protect your mom's pozole from leaks and blowouts. S.C. Johnson.
Sometimes.
Always try snoop before you run.
I haven't really had that many times where anything like that's happened, but sometimes, people will make up a reason to talk because they're trying to get back with you or make their way back into your apartment or something. But I'm trying to think if I've ever had something like that happen to me. Yeah, I think just outwardly asking people questions is better because some people get annoyed when you do that. Like when I contacted Cynthia, who never got back to me, I just asked her. Yeah, I don't really like to beat around the bush like that, but obviously sometimes people's maturity level. Yeah, I guess I expected him to just text me and try to make up what happened. Yeah, maybe he's not good about that. Just direct talk. Just, all right. So we just had this big thing. Like, you don't even have to say you're wrong, I'm wrong at that point. You go, we just had this big thing. Like, are you saying that we're divorced at this point? Because that's what I was trying to talk to him about yesterday. Like, are you just pissed off and not understanding what I did and why? Like, what are you saying? Okay. I'm trying to find out exactly where he slept. Because he said Braintree. I'm trying to find out if he slept where he took me. Right. It helps when people don't assume that I'm trying to trap them in something. I have reasons for things. Like court.
An exclusive sneak peek at Tracker season premiere on CBS Morning. Hi, I'm Lisa Hughes. This Veterans Day weekend, help honor all who served our country. The annual VA V5K, a run for disabled vets here in Massachusetts. with housing, transportation, and other critical support. Saturday, November 9th, at DCR's Castle Island in South Boston. Let's thank all who have sacrificed for our freedom and help our heroes on their road to recovery. Visit DAV5K.Boston to register or donate to them.
Without my good feet, I would not be able to do this. And remember, I'm in my 60s.
Fact checkers found Joyce Craig's claims inaccurate. Don't fall for another Joyce Craig disaster. She's lying. Kelly has to raise your taxes $160 million.
Kelly, when my husband started the snow removal business, I days to bring new companies here to create the jobs of the future. And as governor, I'll fight like hell every day to deliver for you.
A Greater Boston starts by questioning everything on WBZ News.
All right, we're back with the star of NCIS, Wilmer Valderrama.
Sometimes this is something I will explain about myself. And then when people exchange thoughts and ideas, and they still don't sort of, you can see someone's point of view and not agree with it, by the way, or you completely don't see their point of view. There's a difference between, I don't see your point of view, and I know it's pointless, Brian Buchanan. I don't see your point of view, and or I see a point of view, but I disagree with it. I have a different point of view. There's a difference. Okay. When a person lies to me, if I quote unquote catch you, not I seek out to catch people, it takes people, I can be swindled and fooled for a long, long time. Very, very sort of trusting person. Okay. Once I catch a person lying, not I'm looking for it, but it just pops up, I will question everything they tell me. It's just something you know about yourself, not I'm paranoid. Okay. There's a difference. I kind of know a lot about paranoid thinking because of people I've lived with in my family. Paranoia is way more involved than most people think. Okay. So it's when you listen to it, it's sad and it scares you. That's paranoia. Okay. Like you can have I call it justifiable paranoia. When you say things like I'm being paranoid right now, and then you explain it to people, most people will laugh and go, oh God, I do that. That's usually, they don't see the connections, but they do it. But if they go, well, yeah, I can see why I would think that too, but like within reason. Okay. That's why I'm asking him certain things. I need to know certain things for myself, for my personal life, and then I want to know other things in terms of what to do and how to help him not get all fucked up with his court. Okay. He might be running that in his mind, and that's why he's saying weird shit about clothes and court. If he say he was completely high yesterday on something, and that's why it was all like that. Like he started getting worried, and I'm the person that he reaches out to. Okay. It almost reminds me of that phone number from 2023 at first. Remember, the person was like, blah, blah, blah. And then like a week, Friday, or a week later, they started texting me, sorry, who's this? And all this weird stuff about their name is Kevin and stuff. Remember that? It reminds me of that. He told me in 2023 that he used to call himself Doug in Boston. That's what he told me, in case people forgot. And his name's Brian Buchanan. Okay. So I know I was like, it crossed my mind, but then I absolutely didn't think it was him. I would believe it if he admitted it to me now that it was him. I'm not saying it is, but I would believe it if he said, yeah, that was me. Just like Jamie Fitzsimmons. Say I say that and Brian goes, you are so sick and paranoid. And he has a picture and stuff. You're not really getting it, Brian. Your behavior, in your verbiage, you go, yeah, no, no. I actually am not, but yeah, that's is a friend of mine, but no, I'm not typing to you from that Facebook page. Right. That's what I mean. I don't say I know it's you, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you went. I got to tell you something, like we're in General Hospital and we've been married for 3 years and you had my sister's kid. Get it? Like, I got to tell you something. I'm Jamie Fitzsimmons. I'm a lot more fucked up than you thought I was or something. Yeah. Like, you just go, yeah, I could see it now. He hasn't answered me. Let's see what this is. Okay. Please confirm your upcoming appointments. I don't know. Maybe someone's watching this and they're like secretly sending these things. That would be great if that was going on. It's the World Wide Web. Right. It's the World Wide Web. I said if you had like family members doing this, probably don't watch it. Yeah, because sometimes people start talking about their inventory and stuff and you don't want to hear it. Like you're at a AA or a therapy session. If they've been abused and all this stuff. If you feel it's too private because they're talking about their abuse and stuff, don't watch it. It's just called video blogging. But anything to do with Brian Buchanan's care, I wouldn't care if they were doing it. It's the World Wide Web. Right. It's the World Wide Web. And clearly he wants me on Facebook doing it. Right. So you just... Anyways... that's what I hope happens, like I said about Faulkner Hospital, but it doesn't mean that they're doing that. Anyways, that's why I don't like all the blocking of social media. Oh, I was talking about communication skills. Right. So he hasn't answered me yet. In some respects, it's kind of concerning when I text him and he doesn't answer me. Yeah. I mean, right. Because again, to me, it sort of harkens back to, are you with anybody? That's what I asked him yesterday. Are you with anyone? Okay. If you slept at your spot, where were Johnny and John? Nobody else was there? Okay. Why wouldn't you answer your phone right away? Just because when you know a person, you just sat, Candy would be sitting here laughing. She would go, dude, you just sat in my apartment. You didn't even want to walk down the street with your phone in your hand. He has a cell phone. I don't know, man. He has Assurance Wireless. Right. He doesn't have, yeah. He has one phone that you have to use the internet with, and the other one you don't. He has 2 phones now. One of them's cracked, and the other one isn't. That's right. I think he told me he can get this is the problem. The phone that I bought him that he picked out, we both picked out. I think I picked it out actually. When he ordered a SIM card from Assurance Wireless and it came. When he put it in that phone had Assurance Wireless service. So he has internet everywhere he goes. Okay. Unless you're in a place where there's no phone service, like they block it. Okay. The other phone that he bought, mistakes happen. He says he bought the same exact phone, and I guess it's possible it could be Assurance Wireless doing it. I don't know, man. I suggested, and he said it too at first, to buy the same exact phone. So whatever happened, he said it's the same phone. It won't work in that phone. So I don't know if Assurance Wireless does it, and then you're stuck to that phone. Yeah, he didn't take it out of a phone and put it in a phone. He ordered it online, and it came. That's why when he doesn't have a mailing address, he's screwed. He would seem more sort of out in his luck and mentally incompetent without a mailing address. Once he got a place to sleep and take his meds and stuff, he's been fine other than, right, you go, are you just like unhappy in your marriage? Why? Like, say he's out now and he feels he doesn't have the need to use marijuana like that. Then maybe you're just unhappy in your marriage, Brian. It is pretty stressful, all the stuff that's happened to you, but He told me he was miserable. That's what he told me. So that wouldn't be true. He was happier here. Well, it helps if he answers text messages. So were you happier here? Okay. Then some of this stuff, changes do have to come. Where you've got to learn when you have like an anger like that you need to take a walk. You need to go, I'm going to take a walk. I'm sort of like doing that thing. Like the first time you're mean to me, or before it comes out of your mouth when you have the thoughts in your head, when you know you're in that wicked bad mood and everything I do is bothering you, then you need to take a walk. Right? Everything isn't, I'm going to keep hitting on a thing. I understand it because I've been smoking, but Brian, you're on 14 medications. Granted, I don't think they're proper. You're drinking pounds of coffee, you're drinking energy drinks, and you're smoking tobacco and you're smoking marijuana. And a lot of it. I think it's because he won't listen to the walking, but no, I'm not saying that would make him not have to be on medication. I'm not saying that. Right. It's gotten worse and worse because of the stress. Was he doing this at the halfway house? Because like I can't believe that he says everything was fine at the halfway house because they let him use a vape. I mean, he used a vape anyway. Part of his sobriety agreement to be in a halfway house was he couldn't smoke marijuana. He already admitted it to me. So he had a vape. Okay. And because they weren't drug testing him, that's why he did the marijuana. So he could have been using any drug if they weren't drug testing him, get it? So anyways, he claims somehow just out of the blue, the Quincy police arrested him. And I'm sure that's not what happened. He might not want to admit it to me or himself, or he doesn't remember, or he doesn't understand because he forgot. Okay. Clearly, the Quincy police didn't just arrest you. I don't believe that. They can section you for 3 days, Brian, when you're all fucked up like that. Okay. And then he said that's why he got kicked out of the halfway house. Okay. So I didn't ask the Quincy police, but it makes sense to me. Because after that, right, he didn't just go back to his halfway house. How does that make any sense? He ended up hanging around in Quincy Center with that guy, Shane, drinking. That's not really a good response to the police just arrested you for nothing and a halfway house kicked you out for that. That doesn't add up in my head. Right. It sounds like what he does to me. Okay. Like, even if he did nothing and he got arrested and got let out, why would the halfway house kick you out? Okay. So you got kicked out of the halfway house. Why did that mean you had a drink? Okay. It's part of recovery, Brian. You got to stop blaming people for shit. Do you see me drinking? No. Okay. So that's why if he isn't actually drinking and he's only smoking pot in his meds, that's good. He's beginning to learn to not only handle some of his stress, but if he's bound and determined that he's not going to use that anger that he had, he needs to have that towards drugs and alcohol. He needs to have that vitriol towards drug and alcohol, and not Mary, and not the Quincy police, and not the judge, and not whatever. Okay. Really. Because when it's always somebody's fault, Brian, you're never going to be able to learn to just say no. It's part of your disease. That I know just from your observing you. Right. The same thing for cigarettes. It is the same thing for cigarettes. Right. I don't blame you for my smoking. It's just, I know myself, it ain't going to happen today. It was so funny because I've talked to other smokers. There's a lot of people here that smoke, I'm finding out. They sneak smoke, yeah. They don't smoke as much as I've been smoking, but yeah. It's a stressful time. And when we said something, I go, yeah, I do got to eventually quit, but it ain't going to be today. And she just kind of laughed. Most people would probably go, I don't know if this is a good day to quit smoking. I mean, smoking isn't good, but you don't drink, you don't use drugs. That's what my therapist was saying. Or I was saying it to her. And so I say my therapist was. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't eat and vomit. I don't go out and have sex with 14 people. I'm not running around the streets of Quincy screaming at people. I'm not robbing stores. I'm not screaming and yelling at anyone. It's a process. Like, when you're at the point with the drugs and the alcohol and the smoking that you're going to get like that, Brian, you got to walk. You got to walk around and talk into that phone like you were doing. That I said I don't mind the texting. Yeah. Just anything and everything where you're not using. And I know you don't like physical activity, but it helps you sleep. And yes, he is going to need food because if he's walking around and stuff now and he's not drinking, he's going to be hungry, especially from the marijuana if he's still smoking it. He is going to need food. He needs food, not money. We went over this. Okay. He needs food, not money. He's in Boston and he's probably right the fuck back in Quincy Center right now, which I don't like if he was at Braintree. For me personally, but I don't want a lie to come back to me because I will find out. I will find out. I don't believe he has any ability to lie for any amount of time. He knows he can't be married to me if he's lying. And if you're not going to be with me, why would you fucking lie? If he's in Braintree, he better have slept at that fucking place. As much as I'm like, what the fuck are you doing with John and Donnie and you didn't drink? Or whatever fucking female they brought back there? Okay. He better have fucking been there and not wherever the fuck Colleen goes. For some reason the other day, he goes, I don't want to have a conversation about her. And I go, well, I do. Because I wasn't even talking about him per se. I mean, seriously? I'm sure he completely regrets that entire fucking time period. I get that. But I was right in the middle of talking about something, like I'm venting something out. And he goes, I don't want to talk about that. And I just go, well, I do. I don't care if you don't want to fucking talk about it. Go outside. Go outside and smoke, take a walk. I don't care if you don't want to talk. I was talking to, was I talking to him and my sister or just him? Anyways, after all of the stuff that Brian said to me about her, I would hope to God she stays away from him. Right? You just go, that's the one I met in the shelter in 2019 and she was married. Okay. She knows who I am. I've come to that conclusion too. For some reason, she vacillates into these things where she doesn't even know who the fuck I am, and she asked me what my name is. It's Mary that you met in the shelter, and your husband, I met him first, and he said his wife was in the woods smoking meth, and then you came in, and you were telling me how you can tell that I'm like a true person. The fuck right I am. Yep, the fuck right I am. Never have Brian Buchanan at your place again. I'm helping you, even though I don't like you. Okay, I'm kind when I see you, but I don't like you, and you're big and aggressive, so I don't want you to come at me. I don't fight, and you would just beat me up. So in a public place and shit, obviously I have to be nice and somewhat fake. I don't carry that shit around. It's just I should be able to say that to my own fucking husband and him not go, I don't want to talk about her. Well, you should have fucking thought about that in 2023 because I wasn't even bringing it up like that. I was talking about her. Right. Just like the wrestling. She's a person I met way before I knew you, Brian. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. That is exactly what I said to him. It's not really about you. You're not getting it. Like, I know what a psycho is. She told me she was psychotic and that she takes psych meds in 2019. Right. Did you tell her that's why I'm not doing this now, but did you tell her in 2023 that I was your girlfriend or that you ever the fuck went out with me? Then how was she at your house? I mean, how were you at her house without me? Why didn't she invite the two of us to sleep there? Could you imagine? That's why you go, well, I'm not saying it happened. It's like, okay, so when you say Braintree, that's why I said, and lo and behold, he wasn't at the Mansfield train station. I don't know if they mean to do it, but sometimes you have to talk to people like that. I'm in the area. I stayed in Mansfield last night. At the Mansfield train station. No, under a bridge. Why the fuck would you sleep under a bridge? I haven't been over there yet to see what the train station looks like. Like, did someone tell you couldn't sleep there? When people talk to you like that and you're wondering why they're doing it, I explain myself why I'm doing it. Yeah, I explain why I'm doing it. I don't mean to sound weird, but I haven't been over there. So I don't know if they don't let you sleep there. Why didn't you just sleep like we did in Reedville? Why were you under a bridge? Maybe he didn't want to pay for the train or something. I don't know. Anyways, when you say Braintree, because he hasn't answered me yet. When you say Braintree, are you talking about where you took me? Like, what are you talking about? You go, if you're like, don't want to answer me because you think I'm going to be mad about drinking or Donnie and John, like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're a married man. And if you're not a married man, why did you start contacting me at all? Like, because you initiated contact with me this morning. Right. You text me right after you left, but you don't go, oh, I fucked up, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but you don't act like a normal adult man, Brian. Like, you've clearly never been in an adult relationship. So if I seem insecure, and why do I keep going over this? Because you don't act like a regular dude. You completely fucked up, and then you don't say anything about, well, oh, no, that's the time to go, oh, no, da-da-da-da-da, not a day and a half later. He didn't start talking like this until today. So what the fuck have you been doing for 2 days? So when you get angry at me, you're angry that long. That's why you had to leave. That should make perfect sense to him. Even if he goes, don't tell a woman and don't tell me, oh, you're fucked, blah, blah, blah. I just explained it to you. You go, oh, yeah, I would never actually hit you. But yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, this does suck that all this happened. That should have been yesterday's conversation. But you were still just, it was like pages of it, Brian. Pages of it. To my phone, not on Facebook, to my phone. Okay, so you admit today that you didn't want to see me last night because you were still angry. Then why were you where your drinking spot? I just want to know if you drank. Because yesterday you claimed you weren't drunk and you sounded drunk to me. Oh shit.